Next on America's Day at the Races, another miracle. Son of Triple Crown champ American Pharoah looks for the first graded stakes win of his career in the Grade 3 Futurity. Sister Charlie is classy as can be. She lines up in the Flower Bowl trying to win a 6th straight Grade 1, dating back to last summer at Saratoga. And a Breeders' Cup berth is on the line in the Grade 1 Frizette. Can Wicked Whisper answer the call and handle the extra ground as she tackles a one-turn mile off her debut victory sprinting? All that and much more coming up on today's edition of America's Day at the Races, brought to you in part by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net. Today, a gorgeous Sunday afternoon here in Elmont, New York, as we get set to bring you more win and you're in races for the Breeders' Cup and several stars we could see on Breeders' Cup weekend. Greg Wolf alongside four-time Major League All-Star Paul LaDuca, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling, and Sister Charlie. She is in rarefied air. 5 consecutive Grade 1 wins. She is just a Grade 1 win machine, and we get to see her again a couple more times.
No, she's obviously one of the most exciting horses in the country, and she's just been tremendous. A couple of narrow defeats in her races in the U.S., but otherwise she's been almost perfect. And with Thais becoming her rabbit, she just becomes almost invincible.
Yeah, when you're 9 for 13 lifetime with 3 second-place finishes, and she did some good work before she even came over to the Chad Brown barn in France. And listen, she's definitely the one to beat. She's going to be the most heavily singled horse in your pick 6 today that has to be given away, and pick 5. She's just got that relentless kick and that relentless drive to win races.
This is the final stop on the road to try to defend her championship at the Breeders' Cup, Filly and Mare Turf. She came back this year, her first race since that win in the Breeders' Cup, to win the Grade 1 Diana. Repeat of that victory. She is something special, and John Velasquez will be back aboard this afternoon. That happens in race 8 today.
You can argue
Grade 1 Flower Bowl.
You can argue that she has gotten better at age 5. Her numbers, her last 2 numbers are increasing. So we might not even be seeing the best of her yet. It's crazy.
No, that's a good call. There's a look at the field that will line up against her, and if she comes close to even running a race, everybody in here running for second, but second in a Grade 1, it's worth lining up for.
Yeah, it is. I think Mississippi, obviously the second choice in here, was good. First time in the Glen Falls here in North America. I would think is going to be your second choice when you look at the rest of this field. Maybe, you see anybody else, Andy? I wouldn't think so,
No,
right?
I would assume she'll be the second choice in there. I don't know if it'll be 1 to 5 to 5 to 1, but someone has to be second choice.
1 to 9, maybe?
Owner standings brought to you by myracehorse.com. Go there and find more information on getting involved in the game at a fraction of the cost. And Peter Brandt right there with Rapoli Stable. Peter Brandt, of course, owns Sister Charlie, and he has busy day today. He had a horse run overseas as well earlier. Hit the board, correct?
Sister Charlie's half-brother, Sass, ran third.
Yeah.
Ran a good third in the ARC.
Yeah, real good third.
He's right there with Rapoli Stable here having a tremendous Belmont meeting. So we look forward to that. That's just one of several stakes races, though, on the card this afternoon. Our track conditions brought to you by Piranha Fly Spray. Piranha on, Pests gone, main track fast, turf course firm for today's action. And we're just about 20 minutes away from the 4th race here coming up. Here's what we're going to bring you this afternoon, races 4 through 10. 5th race will start the mandatory payout in the Empire 6 today. That pool is massive. So again, that starts in race 5 and a couple of difficult maiden races that looks like you need some deep coverage to move on in. Then we have the Grade 3 Futurity. Mentioned Sister Charlie's race in the Flower Bowl, and then the Grade 1 Frizette as well. Bob Baffert coming east with quality response, but it looks like a wide open race.
Yeah, 2-year-olds are on display today. Bottom line, especially in this pick 6. To me, in race 5 is a state-bred maiden 50 where you can maybe pick and choose, but race 6 supposedly, I mean, I've heard on 8 horses in that race. Supposed to be a loaded race, but you got to get through this race first. Here, the 4th.
Well,
Yeah,
not
one away from the Empire 6. Mile on the turf here coming up. What do you think about Not That Brady, Andy, getting on turf for the first time?
I think he's the kind of horse at a relatively short price you're supposed to bet against. I'm surprised. Obviously, the connections are not going to run the mile and an eighth Empire Classic in 13 days. They're trying the turf, and Big Brown gives you some turf, but the damn Lisa's Booby Trot, she actually tried the turf once at Saratoga, and she was crazy over bet and ran dead last in the risk-averse after winning the dirt. It's not a turf pedigree, and I respect his talent, but I think you're supposed to bet against him. I thought this was about as, and I agree, I think this card is full of open races and interesting races. I thought this was a fascinating race. I know that Not That Brady is very talented, but I don't know that he's talented in the turf. I think both he and Le General are in the same situation, talented horses, but they don't have a bevy of turf pedigree, and I think they're vulnerable at short prices.
Yeah, you can maybe argue that the 10 Le General might have a tiny bit of a better pedigree with Speightstown on the bottom side and Lemon Drop Kid. But there's class here with Not That Brady. And then you have the one in here, What a Wonder of the World. It hasn't run since August of 2017.
Yeah. The race that we showed you, that was a second to looking at bikinis for Not That Brady.
Yeah.
Won at a very short price, Keeneland the other day.
96 buyer for him on Friday.
Tacitus behind him.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back post-parade for the 4th here at Belmont on this Sunday afternoon card when we come back on America's Day at the Races. Stay with us.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one of a kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf, and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
You're watching America's Day at the Races, getting set for the 4th coming up. And want to remind everyone, get involved with the Showdown contest. You don't risk any of your own money. You compete for real prizes, though, including a prize package to next year's Belmont Stakes. Go to NYRA.com/showdown to get involved, and we'll have an update at the end of the show for bragging rights as well. See how everybody did in the contest. Best bet time. Andy, Paul, who are we starting with?
I think myself.
Okay, we'll start with you.
All right, I'm going to single in race number 7, the Futurity. And the reason why I like the 4 in there, four-wheel drive for Wesley Ward. Number 1, Irad Ortiz Jr. gets aboard. And this is a horse that was bet to favoritism in his first start, a son of American Pharoah, and was facing multiple winners in that race. And Wesley put this horse in a stakes race at Colonial, and the horse stopped the clock in a minute and change for 5.5 furlongs and was able to stalk and won with ease. I know there's some multiple winners in this race, but Wesley brings his $525,000 purchase here to Belmont. I think he's going to love the oval. So that's my best bet, Andy.
I thought it was a wide open card other than Sister Charlie. Every race I think the Futurity you picked out is a race that could be won by any of the 6 in that race. I'm taking a shot in the Frizette. With Daphne Moon, the number 2. I don't particularly like Frank's Rockette, who I don't know if she's that good, and I don't think she wants a mile. Wicked Whisper, I'm going to bet against her coming back to her last race, but I like Daphne Moon. Thought she was a horse that really could benefit from her start, going 7 furlongs first time out at the beginning of August. She's had a couple of months since that race. I really liked her. I think she gets a quick pace to close into today, and I prefer Daphne Moon in today's 9th race, the Frizette.
She did not get off to a good start in that race, and she still won ultra impressively.
Yeah.
That was a pretty big debut from that Jeremiah Engelhardt filly. That is the grade 1 for Zet, winning you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. As we take a look here at the field and current odds for this 4th race coming up, it's Startup Nation. 5-2 is your favorite right now for trainer Chad Brown. Let's get a paddock report, head downstairs, check in with Richard Migliori.
Thanks, Greg, and I'll get to the favorite in a moment, but let's start talking first about the 3 local counsel from the Mark Hennig barn. Really well turned out. This horse has got such a richness and texture to his coat that just leads me to believe he's got incredible good health, all good health at the moment. And when I'm looking at horses in the paddock, I'm doing less handicapping off of paper than I am looking at horses as individuals and just seeing who catches my eye, who stands out. Then if I go back and look at them on paper and they make sense, that's the best of both worlds. And the other horse that really caught my eye is the 5-horse Ghost Giant. Ghost Giant, boy, he's outstanding looking individual, could not be better turned out. He wins the paddock appearance pick. He's absolutely glorious, this horse. His coat is great. He's got a great look to him. He is stretching out to a mile from shorter distances, but gets Joel Rosario so good at getting horses to run on their hands. And from a physical perspective, like I said, he won me over completely. That's number 5. The 11 Outrageous Bet, also well turned out from the Gary Contessa barn, making a real nice impression here. And the 12-horse Startup Nation, your favorite, he's got a great coat on him, big dapples, very healthy. Wouldn't expect less from Chad Brown barn, but I will say he's carrying a lot of weight. I don't know if that's normal for him, but he looks like he's a little bit stuffy, a little bit heavy, like maybe he might need a race to get to his optimum fitness. I just would like to see him a little bit tighter, looking a little bit more tucked up. But that being said, Chad Brown's horses tend to carry good weight, good flesh, and he is dappled out. So kind of interesting, but I'm going to stick with my first impression, the 5-horse Ghost Giant. He made the best impression here in the paddock anyway.
Mig, thanks. The 5 Ghost Giant, 7-2 right now from an 8-1 morning line. But here is a look at our current favorite. So this is the 12 Startup Nation. Came off a near 2-year layoff to just miss by a nose against a next out winner for Chad Brown.
He hasn't won a race in over 5 years. He is the horse to beat in here, but he hung like a chandelier last time. I think he's the horse to beat, and he's likely to finish first or second. But I'm going to try to get some goofy horse in there. But I agree with Richie that Ghost Giant is probably one of the main players near the number 5.
Yeah, when you look at Startup Nation, probably has the best race going around, or at least going this distance to ground. And I think that's why the people are thinking on the turf, that why he's the favorite. But, you know, because the 1 has races to go to, but that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, Ghost Giant, the question with him is going a mile. He is a horse to generally run shorter. He gets a trainer change. It's probably a bit of a lateral move, Jeremiah Engelhardt. I do want to quickly talk about a couple of long shots I'm interested in, particularly the 6 Riendo. I don't think he's a likeliest winner by any stretch, but I think he's a much better bet than his 19-1 odds suggest. Anybody thinks he should be 3 times the price of Man of Fire isn't looking at the right PPs. He actually didn't run that badly last time when he was 3 wide in a tough spot. And the time before that, I know they were weaker horses, but it was amazing that he was able to win to the number 6 Riendo, considering this ridiculously slow pace, his bad break, and his wide trip. I think his effort 2 back gives him a chance to at least get a piece at a big price.
That was a win at odds of 5-1 at Saratoga at a mile and 16th. Let's get another look at your favorite right here.
I also thought Ides of Arch the 8's a little bit interesting in here. You know, he's a horse that at times has run well enough to get it done here, and he's had little bits of excuses here and there, and this is the first race he's been in since his layoff where he has a chance to win.
Here comes our post parade, and what a wonderful world kicks things off for Mark Cassidy. We've not seen this horse racing since August of 2017.
I doubt he ends up 10-1, and he's a big price if you like him, but as Greg said, 26-month layoff, not for me.
Horse was on the Triple Crown Trail at one point back when he was running in 2016. Local counsel, Mark Hennig, Manny Franco.
Yeah, he has one turf race, which was atrocious. Mark Hennig's trying him again. Is it a prep for dirt going forward? We'll see.
Sprint to stretch out for Ghost Giant, 7-2.
Yeah, I think the mile is the question with him. Talent is not. On his talent, he's a big-time player here.
Riendo, can he repeat that effort from 2 back? Kendrick Carmouche back aboard.
Well, his one best effort, I mean, 2 back was a really good effort, but his best effort was here at Belmont and around that 1 turn. So 20-1, not the worst long shot.
Man of Fire is at 8-1 from a 20-1 morning line.
Yeah, I don't know the appeal of him. He's second off a 13-month layoff. He did no running in his return with a bit of a wide trip. But overall, I just don't know that he's necessarily good enough even on his better races, and he's probably better going shorter.
This is his first race back in just over a year. Ides of Arch 17-1 Dylan Davis, Bruce Levine.
Yeah, 2 for 13 overall on the turf. Does not have a win over the Belmont turf, but has a couple decent races. Sort of an in-between horse, whether they want to make him a one-run horse or not.
Not that Brady. He's talented, but on turf, this is the debut on grass.
Not a pedigree that really suggests that he's going to flourish on the grass. They'll put him on the front end and see if that's good enough.
La General. Eric Cancel rides for Michelle Nevin. Put together back-to-back wins on dirt. This one also turf debut.
Yeah, same MO as the 9. We'll see. We'll know early whether the 9 or 10 are going to like the turf because they both possess speed.
Outrageous bet, missed by a half length last time out at 32-1 at this condition.
He's another that's better going shorter, and while he did at least finally show some life last time out, he hung towards the end of it, which doesn't suggest, it has to be 7 furlongs, was probably too far, a mile, maybe way too far.
And Startup Nation, it's Chad Brown, it's Klarovich Stables at Rad Ortiz Jr. in second off a near two-year layoff.
And lost to Wicked Freud, right? And Wicked Freud came back to win. You could say he hung, and you also say he's a little unlucky because he was 7 wide, but he probably needed that race, obviously, off so long. He's going to be the one they're going to all have to hold off.
We're going to step aside for a timeout. When we return, we'll talk Grade 1 Frizette Wicked Whisper. She had to deal with the rail in her debut. It was not a problem for the daughter of Liam's Map. Trained by Steve Asmussen, she is the morning line favorite in the Grade 1 Frizette, coming up in the 9th today.
Win program. It was a big, big day. By your side in the Sanford. That's the finest breeding program in Central Kentucky.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. AmericasBestRacing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify.
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by legendary Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. We'll get set for the 4th race here coming up. And wow, down to 9-5 now on Startup Nation. The 12 horse all the way on the outside. I know we're looking at the 1 right now.
Let me ask you about the 1 though. If I know, okay, so the 12 was off a 2-year layoff and ran a bang-up race, but it was Chad Brown. Now, Mark Cassio, obviously very capable, plus 180 days. He's 17%.
No, look at this stat.
Well, he's 10% off 365 days. It still is not awful, but this horse has got decent works. I mean, decent races to go to that win this race. But they were 2-3 years ago. That's what you're playing with. You know what I mean?
Doesn't it bother you that he's as big a price as he is?
Yeah, probably. But a lot of people are looking at a 2-year layoff.
So what do you think? Andy was off from October until June and actually ran pretty good against much better than what he's going to face in here. The problem is we don't know if he's close to the same horse.
The 1?
Yeah.
I just bet against horses like this off a two-year layoff.
But showed ability off a layoff before. my point. It wasn't a year layoff.
Yeah,
but
I know, but I can't compare the two. To me, I mean, obviously he's got races that can make him very tough. No argument with that at all. But for me, listen, he's a big price if people like him. I expect him to be in the 5 or 6 to 1 range. So if you like him, he's obviously a good bet, a good price. I'm just not betting. This barn has bad numbers off of year-plus layoffs, and this is a 2+ year layoff. I'm going to be very surprised when he runs competitive. And I also think he is really dead on the board. I mean, the board is saying forget about it, right? Because people look at his races and their first inclination is a lot of these people don't even notice the layoffs. They think, oh, it's 1 year. And he's just, I mean, he's not taking any money whatsoever in here.
7-2 morning line. He's 10-1 now as we check in again with the MIG.
Thanks, Greg. And watching him on the racetrack, the 5-horse who I liked a great deal in the Paddock, Ghost Giant, just kind of reinforced what I was seeing in the Paddock. Loved his energy in his warm-up. Liked the way Joel Rosario got his warm-up in and then kind of settled him down, kicked his feet out of the irons, let him walk with the pony, kind of catch his breath. That's the kind of warm-up you like to see with the horse stretching out. You don't want them too keyed up going to the gate, and he got his warm-up in and then gave him an opportunity to relax. And I'm really kind of taken with his appearance, the 5 Ghost Giant. The 8-horse Ides of March, Ides of Arch, excuse me, kind of won me over on the racetrack. In the Paddock, wasn't really standing out, but man, when he got to the track, he just kind of puffed up, changed, got a real good warm-up under Dylan Davis. And from a physical perspective on the racetrack, he really made a beautiful impression. The 12-horse Startup Nation, your favorite, got a very aggressive warm-up and a lengthy warm-up from Irad Ortiz. He is a 7-year-old gelding. Like me, sometimes you just need a little time to get going, you know, a little stiff in the morning, but he certainly looked good once he got going, and he got that aggressive warm-up. Like I said, they all look like they're acting well as they're getting ready to go onto the turf course and load up for this mile turf event.
MIG, thanks. And, you know, pace-wise, obviously it looks like it's the 9, Not That Pretty, or the 10, Le General. Is it just a question of who takes to the turf better? Who gets to the front?
Yeah, and well, I think the 9 will get to the front. You have to imagine. I mean, sometimes they don't like the turf, and they can still show speed. And obviously the horse could like the turf. I mean, I agree with Paul. If one of them is going to handle the turf, Le General, I think, with the Speightstown mare, and Luke Simon Arcade has more turf pedigree. And wouldn't you rather take twice the price if you're going to guess that one of them can handle the grass? Because when Le General was good, he was pretty darn good. Now, obviously not that Brady is an extremely talented horse, but I think it's a negative. They seem to not even be considering the Empire Classic to run in a turf race. I mean, it just seems a little weird. I mean, a mile and 1/8 is too far, but the Empire Classic is like $300,000, right? And I can't imagine he would be more than 8 to 1 in there, right? He's not even that much of a bigger price to race like that than he is in this race. So it almost feels like there's a lack of confidence in him all around, but maybe I'm looking into it too much.
Maybe it's just a case, again, of wanting to check that box. They tried to get him on turf, actually, the first couple of starts of his career. They were washed off.
Yeah, and the other part is if he just completely doesn't run at all, they can probably just draw a line and wheel him right back. Maybe that's their thought process. I don't know.
The damn Lisa's Booby Trap of Mother Brady finished last in the risk averse in her only turf start. She was a very nice dirt sprinter, but she could not handle the turf at all.
Meanwhile, the public in love with Startup Nation outside post.
He's overbet. He's the horse to beat. But this horse has not won a race in over 5 years since he won, I think, the P.G. Johnson at Saratoga.
7-year-old.
5 years, and he's 8 to 5.
He's the one to beat outside from post 12 with Irad Ortiz Jr. Here's the 4th from Belmont. We send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Man of Fire has just moved in, and Outrageous Bet has too. And here is Startup Nation, the favorite coming forward. And they're all in line. Startup Nation not quite in there yet. He's backed out. They've opened up the front of the gates for him. Now it appears he's in there. They're off. Man of Fire comes out with Le General on the outside, and toward the inside it is Ghost Giant, who's flashing some early foot as well. Not That Brady goes up in between horses. So up to the backstretch they go. Le General takes the lead, opens up a length and a half to Not That Brady and Ghost Giant. Man of Fire is fourth on the inside of Outrageous Bet. 3 lengths to Ides of Arch, then Startup Nation, Local Council, followed by Riendo to the outside. What a Wonderful World is the trailer through a 23.36 quarter. Heading up the backstretch, Le General is the leader on top by 2. Not That Brady on the outside, second. And then it's Ghost Giant third to the inside. Outrageous Bet 5 lengths off the lead, racing outside of Man of Fire. Startup Nation is 7 behind at this stage as they continue the run toward the far turn. Then on the outside, What a Wonderful World, Ides of Arch, Riendo going up between those two in Local Council. Around the turn they go, a 47.55 half, and Le General is the leader. On top by a length to Not That Brady, Ghost Giant, Outrageous Bet. Startup Nation is 5th on the outside, while 3 wide on the turn. Then Man of Fire, Ides of Arch, Riendo, What a Wonderful World, and Local Council. Le General put the pressure at the top of the stretch. Outrageous Bet comes up 3 wide. Not That Brady between those two. Startup Nation is 4th on the outside. Then Ghost Giant, followed by Man of Fire, Ides of Arch, and Riendo on the far outside. 8 of them, 3 lengths apart as they come into the final furlong. Startup Nation has taken the lead here. Startup Nation in front from Outrageous Bet. On the inside comes Ghost Giant. Startup Nation is a winner. Got it by a length and a half. Ghost Giant was next, and then Outrageous Bet, Le General, and Ides of Arch.
Well, actually floated up to 2-1 in the end. Startup Nation, second off a near 2-year layoff, gets the win. Irad Ortiz Jr.
Yeah, you get that clear outside run helps. And it's interesting with Startup Nation, unlike a lot of his races, he wasn't that far off the pace, and they were moving a bit early in this race. So he really ran today. Paul, I think you feel like the number 5, Ghost Giant, had a bit of trouble in here.
Yeah, right here you can see Rosario trying to go through the 2 pass, got shut out. He tried to go right here through the 3, the 4, and it might have not cost him the win, but you can see right there stopped it, steadied a tiny bit. Yeah, I've had to wait, but Startup Nation got the run on him.
Yeah, he was a bit unlucky. It was just one of these things because he had that good position sitting in the pocket behind the speeds, and they just bunched up, and he never really got a spot to get through. I don't disagree.
I think the 11 ran a bang up
27-1. Yeah, just missed second there with your 5. But looks like 12-5-11. Yeah, right. Outrageous Bet running big for Gary Contessa. But how about this? Second off an almost 2-year layoff, and yeah, Irad Ortiz Jr. had him in the right spot.
Yeah, I mean, just great training job. We talk about Chad. He's a lot better than you think second time off the layoff. A lot of people like to just bet him first time off the layoff. He's even better second time.
I'm going to step aside. Maggie Wolfendale stepping in for me after a short timeout. Empire 6 coming up next in a mandatory payout day. Good luck, everybody.
I'm a firm believer you don't put the saddle on the pedigree. I bought him strictly because of his physique, his conformation. And then when you looked at the pedigree, it was the perfect blend. Run Happy was an incredible, incredible racehorse. Being supported by Airdrie Stud, who raises an incredible animal, to breed one of their best mares to him speaks volumes. It ended up producing an incredible result in this horse. And we just hope he runs to his looks and his pedigree.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, win a home run. Made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Good time, about 900 and about 900,000. Thank you.
He struck me as a classic distance type horse. The way he moved, his efficiency of his stride.
It was a freakish victory, and it was one of the reasons that made Cupid a horse to really keep an eye on.
To come off a long break like Cupid did, it's almost impossible, and just goes to show you the quality of horse he is.
Welcome back to America's Day at the races. The Klaravich Silks making their way into the winner's circle as Startup Nation second off the long layoff. Well, he gets back to the winner's circle here for Chad Brown. Irad Ortiz in the irons as he did go off as the 2-1 favorite, 630 for the win. Andy?
I'm going to test your memory in this, Maggie.
Oh, boy.
This horse hasn't won in over 5 years, which is remarkable. I want to say that Duna Shimangal won with the Pilgrim winner off like a 4 or 5 year layoff in a similar, that was a claiming race. Does that ring a bell to you?
What was that horse's name? It was one word. It began with a T.
I know. Well, Richie Talks will remember it.
All right. Well, that's why we have the Mick here, so he can catch up with winning rider Irad Ortiz. Mick?
I'm laughing.
Thanks, Maggie. Irad, you got a really good trip, and he laid a bit closer. I noticed you warmed him up very aggressively in the post parade. Was that the reason why you warmed him up, to try to put him more in the game?
Yeah, you can see his performance. He don't run too many miles. He probably run mile and 60 mile a night better. He come from off the pace. I know the mile is a lot of sprint horses on the race, so it's gonna be a little pace. And I think I have to be close to don't start working a lot earlier in the race. So I want to be close, and like that I can take probably a little hold of him. And he break, I just let him roll and just let it get the pace. Then in the backside, he make a little middle move, and then I drop in a little bit and take a hold. Then in the turn 3-8, probably I swing him out, put in the clear, and let him be him, because he's that kind of horse that he closed strong. He finished strong. So let him be happy, and then when I ask him to go in the quarter pole, he responds like always.
And this is one of the reasons why you're so successful, because you have a thought process behind it. You go in with a plan. Now, later on today, you ride Empress of the Nile in the Flower Bowl. Had a little bit of a tough trip last time. How are you planning on riding today?
Well, we're gonna run today against Sister Charlie. She's a very tough filly, but you never know. So, I mean, I think just the key is just safe ground. Try to beat that filly, just safe ground, save every inch I can in the track, and just wait, ride it with patience, and come running.
And now Daphne's mood in the Frisette. Have you ever sat on? I know your brother broke her maiden.
Never, but I just watched the replay. I talked to Jose, and she looked like she got some talent. She do everything right last time. She get there, come from off the pace. So tip him out. She respond really well. She looked good for the distance. It's gonna be a plenty of pace on the race, so I think gonna set out good for her.
And how much confidence does that give you when you see a 2-year-old has taken dirt, the kick back in the face, and come from behind in the past?
To be honest, a lot. I work a lot of babies, and the most of them I try to, wherever, when I work in the morning, try to get some dirt on the face till they get used to it and see how they act. Because when you're gonna go like a race like this one, and you know your horse can get there, you know you don't have any pressure to put in the clear or break running. I mean, I like to ride my horses relax and let them be them. So just put whatever she's comfortable, and I know whenever she got the key back, she's gonna handle it. So I just ride her with confidence and patience, and just wait for me when I call and I respond.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time. Best of luck later.
Thank you. Thank you.
Guys, not only is he a talented physical rider, but obviously you can see the preparation and the thought process that goes in behind it.
And that is what makes them the head of their game. Irad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz, Johnny Velasquez, Junior Alvarado yesterday when winning with Arklow. He did some serious homework as well. As we'll start this Pick 5 follow along here. The early one, Market Legacy cover photo. Biggest price there, red right hand, as we'll cap things off here in race number 5. Wide open maiden 50 for the State Breds.
Is Richie going with the glasses angle to try to make him look smarter? It doesn't work.
With your angle.
As I can tell you, it doesn't work. Shakespeare Shalaya, by the way, we
Well
didn't find
done.
the name of the horse we were looking for.
Yeah, I don't know why it was a T in my head, but it was double S's. As we want to welcome you back to our Third Floors Clubhouse Studios. I'm Maggie Wolf, now giving Greg Wolf a little bit of a break here, joined by Paula Duca and Andy Serling, and we have Mig, the field reporter, downstairs today. But boy, do we have a great race sequence on tap, including the Frisette, the Flower Bowl, and the Futurity coming up a bit later. So really looking forward to that, guys.
Yeah, listen, you have to have your handicapping hat on, especially for 2-year-olds, because 4 out of these 6 races in the Empire 6, they're 2-year-old races. So I threw out a ticket, and hopefully it will hit. I decided to single a couple horses, and if you look at my ticket to start here, I thought the 9 was the best horse that had run. So what I decided to do is I used the 4 first-time starter, the 5 first-time starter, the 12 first-time starter. Then I went very deep in race 6. Race 6, I even heard the Anthony Dutcher horse is a runner, which is the 6, which I left off. There's supposedly like 8 different tips on that race. I was deciding whether to single the 4 in 4-wheel drive or Andy's horse, who he liked, because I actually like Daphne Moon an awful lot too as well in the 9th, and I chickened out, so I decided to single the 4-wheel drive. Everybody's singling Sister Shire, let's be honest, and I just don't know if she gets beat. 1, 2, 3, 7. I'm going to use Frank's Rocket just in case. And then the last race, 5, 8, 11, 13. The 13 draws in for Linda Rice. Don't forget that horse got blinkers 2 starts back. I think has a big shot. This is a tough sequence. You have to get involved, though.
Absolutely. It's mandatory payout. As heading into it, we had $725,000. That pot continues to grow. As Paul, you were saying, that Frizette is part of it, a prep race for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. And we'll check in with the filly that has the highest buyer speed figure coming into this Frizette, and that is the Steve Asmussen trained Wicked Whisper, that point, half to point of honor, as she went gate to wire on debut. I got to say, guys, I was actually impressed with her having as much early speed as she did. Will she be able to carry it?
Well, she was very, very impressive in this race, no doubt about it. But I cannot get past a stat where the Steve Asmussen barn, with debut-winning 2-year-olds coming back in their second start in graded stakes in the dirt, are 0 for 16 over the last 5 years. And one after another, they're short prices, which suggests they simply aren't running back to their maiden race a second time out.
Yeah, and that's the only worry, I guess, because Maggie's right that she just opened up so quickly like that, 4 lengths and blistering speed. Now, will she able to get away from this group? Daphne Moon got left in the gate. Will she show more speed today? But the way Wicked Whisper ran first time out, I don't think she's the one to catch.
Yeah, but there is some other pace pressure possibly in there. And this horse right here, Daphne Moon, who we're checking out in her maiden score, will be hoping for that pace to come back to her. Now, maybe it was greenness. Maybe it is just her that she doesn't have that much early speed. I'll tell you what, guys, she's built for a horse that wants more distance, and you can kind of see it here in her breaking her maiden, going away in style.
Yeah, not only did she win her debut at 7 furlongs, which is not always the easiest thing to do, she did it on August 4th. She didn't do it on September 4th.
Right.
She did it very early, and that's really early to run those races. So distance isn't a problem for him. And she was just a little bit sluggish early, and usually 2-year-olds, and you could expand this, Mag, a little bit, in their debuts, they're kind of sluggish out of the gate. They often aren't in their second start. They're just a little more professional second time out.
I'm trying to look back to the Champagne, Mags. Tis the Law ran on August 8th. So there could be something to that. Maybe earlier in the Saratoga meet, Andy could be right. That and Jeremiah probably goes, I know what I got in the tank here. Let's save this horse for the Frizette. You know what I mean? So I think Daphne Moon's going to be a handful, especially if she just doesn't make any mistakes at the gate.
I do too, and furthermore, as you mentioned, she has that time in between races, and it looks as though she's been training beautifully. I got to check out a couple of her works, and I just really like the way this filly's going. I think she possesses the talent and the stamina, at least physically, to get the mile today in the Frizette, as we will also take a look at the Futurity. Now, this race, it used to be, historically speaking, I mean, we were talking about Secretariat winning this way back when it used to be a race on the dirt, but we switched it to the turf last year. It's a grade 3, $150,000 for the 2-year-old boy, 6 furlongs on the turf. And we'll check out one that broke his maiden first time out in a stake in the $100,000 Rosies down at Colonial Downs for Wesley Ward.
It's interesting to note, the timer, this race is hand-timed.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, they say it's a track record. Regardless, I'm going to tell you, this horse won, and I picked her too, Paul, but I actually don't think there's a single horse in this race, the Futurity, that can't win. I wouldn't be surprised if any of the 6 won in here.
Listen, I had to take a stand somewhere, right? I think the Contessa runner is a runner, another miracle on the outside. Jack and Noah, I had heard about a while ago on the outside, won first time out.
Though,
and wheeling back in 9 days. I'm with you. But Embolden is very, very quick and won some races at Colonial as well. So it is a loaded race, but the way that horse strided out.
Now, I might be comparing apples to oranges here, but don't forget Mark Cassio got Stormy. He is a guy who knows when to strike when the iron's hot.
I'm sure Gary Barber reminded this when he said, well, I'm running here. Somebody reminded somebody, and I have a question. Today is mostly the Phillies' day with the Flower Bowl and the Frisette.
It's weird, right?
Yesterday was the Colts. So why are we running the futurity today and the matron for the Phillies yesterday? I think we have to fix that for next year.
I think they do too. As another miracle, he's the other son of American Pharoah, and he's already a stakes winner himself. He's gone 2 for 3 in his lifetime. Only time he was beat, it was by Green Light Go, who was second in the Champagne yesterday. This horse ran well. He broke sharply in this race and still had something left in the tank.
Well, he broke. He let another horse take the lead, and he just took over from that horse. I thought it was a very impressive win. And also, the Contessa Barn is on a bad run. They're 0 for 40-something at this meet, and they were 3 for 75 at Saratoga. But this horse accounted for 2 of Gary's 3 wins at Saratoga. So while the barn was cold, this horse was not. And I think that's a real credit to this horse. He ran through it, and he's a good horse. I'm not going to be at all surprised if he wins.
I mean, Freewheeler broke his maiden first time out. Tomato Bill's trying the turf. They've always liked this horse. He's a more than ready. It's Christophe Clement. And then Embolden, I mean, he's another one that's won 2 of his 3 career starts. Granted, they were against restricted VA bred company, but still.
And
He's fast.
Mike Stidham, who won the matron yesterday impressively with that horse. I agree. This is a fascinating race. I tip my hat for you trying to single here, but this is a tough one.
I'm so looking forward to the futurity along with the rest as we'll kick off this Empire 6. It's a mandatory payout day. Stay tuned. We're coming back on America's Day at the Races.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
We're gonna go traveling.
Grade 1 winner and track record setter Lee. He traveled the world competing against the best of his generation. Now his progeny are hitting the track. His first winners include Saratoga standout Vast, with juveniles selling for over $400,000 and yearlings bringing up to $650,000. The sky is the limit for this promising young stallion. Lee, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Piranha, the leader in fly control and wipe and spray products, now has premium equine grooming products. Introducing Aloe Pro Shampoo, an organic concentrate enriched with vitamins A, D, and E, and silk protein. Piranha Detangler, a dry comb-through detangling spray that conditions, moisturizes, keeping tail and mane manageable. And Shine Baby Shine, a water-based coat conditioner that leaves a show ring shine every time. Visit PiranhaEat.com to see our full line of equine products, and for a limited time, use promo code NAIRA to receive a 10% discount on your order. Piranha on, pests gone.
America's Day at the Races continues, and it continues because we are powered by Run Happy, who is standing at Claiborne Farm for $25,000 in stall number 1, as we are going to check out a pretty impressive running of the Champagne Stakes, won by the New York bred Tiz the Law, and this was not an easy trip to overcome. He broke well, then he was reined back. Guys, once he tipped out, though, he had a lot left.
And what I like about it was, and you're alluding to it, Maggie, is that not only did he win impressively, but he really learned something from the race. And I mean, that's the best thing you can do with these young horses, right? I mean, it's nice to get an easy win, but he gets behind horses. He's sort of bumped around. He's got to wait for room. And it was a good trip. I don't think we're suggesting he had a bad trip, but it was a good learning experience for him.
No, it was a big learning experience for him. He had to stop and go a couple times. I will give credit to Green Light Go. After Tiz the Law sort of went by and just swept by him, he could have just sunk his heart in and went backwards. And he actually fought back for a second. I think he's a horse that might need a target. He was not beating Tiz the Law, and he might not ever beat Tiz the Law, but I think he might be better with a target in front of him.
I don't think Green Light Go ran badly. I
don't think so either. Yeah.
But Doesn't it bother you a little bit that he took an extra couple of furlongs or a furlong and a half, and he didn't improve and may have run a little bit worse? That concerns me a little bit with him.
Yeah, there was also a bit of time between races for him. He's a big, heavy horse. It obviously did not matter with Tiz the Law, who just seems like an unbridled talent as of now, as I actually got to catch up with Barclay Tagg after the Champagne Stakes, and kind of an interesting response I got from Barclay in regards to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Didn't sound too keen on going.
I'm not sure, but I don't think so. We'll see what.
There you go.
We'll see what. Well, I just don't really have that desire to do that. It's a little close and it's a little strenuous, and it's. I think I'd rather. I can always go to California with him another year.
I like that.
But you can only go to the Derby one year, you know. So.
Gonna win another Derby, possibly.
Well, it's a thought.
And Barclay Tagg, a guy who's always been conservative, and it almost feels like deja vu from how many years ago was that with Funny Side? Saratoga Stable. They have a nice New York bred. And
Barclay said, in the Naira notes, that they were talking about one of two races with him, the Remsen or the Kentucky Jockey Club. Now, I understand some people think, oh, you go to Kentucky Jockey Club to see if he likes Churchill. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They're not shipping. They'll be running in the Remsen if he's running anywhere. I'd be very surprised if that bus going to Churchill again.
I'm in agreement with you, and I actually think this is a very smart call. This horse does not go, and I'm in agreement with Barclay, because if you look, after the first race, this horse won so impressively, had some shin issues. They had to give the horse time off, a month of not training, basically. Then Barclay got the horse ready and does that. He doesn't want to risk that again. Why ship all the way out to Santa Anita? We already know what's going on with that racetrack, so why ship out there, take a little bit of a chance where, like he said, I'll get this horse ready for the Kentucky Derby. And for him to say that, that's big, big statement. He must know he has the goods, because that was the goods yesterday.
And considering Barclay didn't make the final decision to put him in the Champagne until watching him breeze last Wednesday, tells you that, well, he wants to have a very nicely laid plan for coming into his 3-year-old campaign. But we saw another prep race for the Juvenile. That was the Breeders' Futurity down at Keeneland, and wow, Maxfield, did he destroy this field and gave trainer Brendan Walsh his first Grade 1, kind of poetic in a way, because Brendan had spent years in the Middle East and in Europe working for Godolphin, and this was actually the first group of horses that Godolphin has given Brendan, and to win like that in a Grade 1, wow, well done.
It was amazing. This horse's move was electric.
Wow.
Governor Morris just had nothing. Now, Governor Morris was wide most of the way, but this horse made a monster move. Within split seconds, he was by everybody. Brendan Walsh is, I'm Maggie, he's an up-and-coming, he's already out there, but he's such a brilliant trainer. And Jose Ortiz might have a nice little horse here going into the Juvenile.
Yeah, I mean, he got an 86 buyer.
Yeah.
He's right there with all the horses in there. I agree. I think it was a disappointing effort very much for Governor Morris, who got a little bit wide, but he really didn't run particularly well. I don't think anybody behind him ran well, but this horse did run well, and I think you've got a number of horses that are all within range of each other with their speed figures heading towards the Breeders' Cup.
That looks to be a great field heading into that. In a month for the Breeders' Cup, but we're going to head downstairs and check in with the MIG. And MIG, as we said, we don't think Tiz the Law is going to the Breeders' Cup, but what did you think about his performance yesterday in the Champagne?
I was so impressed with that performance for so many reasons. What do good horses have in common? Well, they all possess speed. It's how they learn how to dole out that speed, and I think that was a huge lesson kind of race for him to be able to come from off the pace, take kickback, be in tight, stop and go. Only special horses can do that. And the other thing that good horses have in common, they stay in the bridle for a very long time. This horse was in the bridle all the way until Manny Franco was able to extricate himself from behind horses, and then you could visually see him drop his head and really stride out, give a very impressive turn of foot. I don't see many young horses with the capabilities that this horse has, that toughness, mental and physical toughness. You think back and people are going to say, oh, I'm comparing him to Seattle Slew. I'm not. But you think about Seattle Slew in the Kentucky Derby, getting bounced around at the break, bowling his way between horses. This horse has that kind of character. So not only does he have a physical ability, but he has a mental toughness. And Maggie, you know as well as I, sometimes that means just as much.
Mig, absolutely. That's kind of what I picked up from him because, too, he handled that adversity just like whatever. I mean, he's just so talented, and it didn't matter what kind of went on and transpired in front of him. And, two, you know, we talk about horses that have those white eyes, and sometimes they're crazy, but he has that intense white eye that just looks almost human-like. So you can see how intelligent of a horse he is, too.
And I think there's an intimidation factor there. I think if you pull up alongside of him and he gives you that evil eye, you might want to back off a little bit. I just love the fact that he's not going to the Breeders' Cup, too. I think the landscape has changed so much where horses are racing later, 2-year-olds, and they're not getting as much of a chance to have a break and really grow. Barkley Tag's old school, and I like it. And I'm sure we'll hear from Greenlight Go again. But right now, 'tis the law. Well, there is a new sheriff in town, no doubt, Maggie. But as far as the horses here in the paddock, quickly, let's just go to the one Top Hat Invasion. He gets blinkers for the first time. Talked with her trainer, Jeffrey Englehart. Felt like she needed a little bit more focus. Thought she was trying to get out a little bit last time. Gets Kendrick Carmouche, a very aggressive rider from the inside, and they're expecting an improved effort from her. And she looks terrific in the paddock. Couldn't be better turned out. We'll head towards the outside, the 9B Magic. Rudy Rodriguez, second time out. It looked like she tightened up quite a bit from her first start, and she's acting well. I like to see horses that have had to start come to the paddock and still be clear-eyed and thoughtful about things. The first race didn't affect her adversely. The 10-horse Mebs Webb looks good for Nick Zito. Takes a drop in class, gets Johnny Velasquez. I think there's some things to like there. And this filly's coat's really good. She's been training up in Saratoga where it's getting cooler, and I'm not seeing her coat start to turn or get long like you would see from some of these cooler nights. And I live a little bit up there, Maggie, and woke up the other morning, it was 34 degrees. So it's definitely one of those things where horses' coats will start to turn at this time of year. The 11, first-time starter from Jimmy Ryerson, Big Sin. She looks great. She looks really fit, very well turned out. Like she's very well meant here. Got a kind of sinewy, fit kind of look to her. And the 12 Micro Margarita from Rudy Rodriguez, another first-time starter, very sharp, really on her toes. Got saddled, kind of busted out of the saddle stalls. Really solid, strong, good-looking filly, but she looks like maybe she could be a little bit tighter, maybe just carrying a little bit more flesh than I like. But she got the look of a runner. I'm going to keep an eye on this one for sure.
Meg, thank you for that. And there's some interesting horses in here. Now, we do see, guys, number 9, B Magic, your favorite. She takes a drop in class. She goes from the 5.5 to the 6.5. I mean, I thought she was one that would want more ground. She kind of ran that way first time out. And 2, she was beaten by Naked Avenger, who came back and won in a New York bred stake. So I think she comes out of a decent field as well.
It was a sloppy track that day. I don't think she handled it that well, and I don't disagree. I do think there's a horse worth mentioning. There's a number of horses worth mentioning. I think a horse worth mentioning is the 5 Big Red Girl. Now, it's early. I know they say 4 minutes to post, but there's a lot more money left to be bet here. And she's 5-1 in here. She's the same price as Todd Pletcher's first-time starter, the 4 Broadway Angel. She's a much bigger price in multi-race bets. The dam of Big Red Girl ran once and got a 32 buyer in victory for these connections, a homebred. The horse who's getting bet is Big Red Girl as of now.
But she's also half to Barefoot Angel and Party in the Sand, who are, they're not superstars, but they're okay. I mean, this isn't filled with superstars. As Top Hat Invasion kicks off the post parade for Jeff Englehart.
Yeah, I have no idea why she's a short price other than the fact that she's run. I'll be shocked if there aren't a number of horses better than the field she's coming out of.
Storytown Baby gets a fast track after a sloppy one in her last start.
Yeah, right. She failed in the turf. She was a zillion to 1 in the slop last time. She does drop, but she hasn't done any running.
Daughter, a Central Banker, number 4 Broadway Angel, makes her debut for Todd Pletcher.
Yeah, 23% is Todd. He's actually 22% with debut maiden claimers. Lascano, who's been hot of late, will be aboard.
Homebred for Sal Kupferberg, Big Red Girl, and Charlie Baker.
Yep, she is taking some money right now. We'll see if she ends up drifting up, but as of now, she seems live.
Bella Invasion, Benji Hernandez will climb aboard for Randy Prasad.
Well, if you're using all in the pick 6, you'll be alive after the race if she wins.
All Over the Map is one of several other drop downs in here for Ray Handel, as she's done little to no running in both her career starts.
She actually got bet first time out in Indiana. Then she went from the Brendan Walsh barn to the Raymond Handel barn, and she really didn't get bet at all either.
We'll get back to her.
Andy has a story on her. Number 9, B Magic. She goes sloppy to fast. I think that should help her chances.
Yeah, I just think she's the logical horse to beat dropping off that debut.
Meb's Webb, she's run sneaky okay as Johnny Velasquez climbs aboard.
Well, she's been in the toughest races by far. It's not even close. That's why she's 5-1. And Johnny V getting aboard for Nick Zito, that's a good sign.
Big Sin is a debut runner for the Jimmy Ryerson barn and apprentice Joey Martinez.
She's taking some nibbles right now to be 10-1 in this field.
Micro Margarita only sold for $25,000. A daughter of Micromanage for Rudy Rodriguez and Manny Franco.
I thought this was the one that might be the sneaky look here for Rudy Rod at 13-1. Might show some speed from the outside, and Manny Franco, like you said, aboard and debuts with Lasix.
Well, that's your field here, wide open, I think, to kick off things for this Empire Pick 6 mandatory payout as we see the total pool for today continue to grow.
Yeah, I mean, you will see probably 4 million or more bet today. I want to touch on a couple of horses and all over the map and Meb's Webb. I just think Meb's Webb, the 10, is very logical. You're going from the 7-pound Bug Rider to John Velasquez for Nick Zito. And faced better, and she's just a logical horse of her races. As far as the 8 all over the map, she may be a bit of a flyer here, but she was first time for Ray Handle coming in from Brennan Walsh at Indiana, a New York bred, running against New York breds. She's not going to likely win at Indiana. And she did have trouble in the start in that race, so she lost all chance anyway. And then she caught that sloppy seal track last time, and she did have some speed, and she just didn't seem to like the slop. I don't love her in here, but I think she's a long shot that merits a little bit of a look in here because she gets that fast track. So first time in the New York breds on a dry track, and Ray does a good job, as we always see. So I just thought she's a little bit interesting. I'm not saying she's like a great bet, but I could see using her in some underneath positions.
Well, he's 3 for 8, dropping down main special claiming, so he does a good job. And when you look at the body of this field, Top Hat Invasion first time out was 80-1. The 3 was 26-1. You can argue that all over the map was actually bet compared to all the other ones. Now I know Naked Avenger was a big favorite, but if you look, B Magic was 39-1, the 10, Meb's Webb was 60-1 against way better horses. So you can argue the 8 was been bet.
Yeah, I mean, of the horses that have run, the 9 and 10 are clearly the 2.
Yes.
And the truth is that B Magic probably shouldn't be a third of the price of Meb's Webb because they've run comparable races.
Yeah.
I know it's Nick Zito, but, you know, let's be honest. It's not like Rudy Rodriguez is lighting it up.
Fire,
His barn has been extremely chilly. And then you've got a weird all over the map, and then you got the firsters.
How about the 4s? You bring up the firsters. Is Broadway Angel just completely not live here? Because let's face it, they paid $70,000 for this daughter of Central Banker. She has some pedigree.
I agree.
There's been some good horses in there. And the fact, well, she's dropping down a little bit, but the fact she's 4-1 in here, is that a negative?
I don't disagree. And, you know, especially when you consider she's 4-1 and Big Red Girl is 6-1.
Right.
And the Jimmy Ryerson starter, Big Sin, is 11-1. It's Todd Pletcher. Now, listen, Todd Pletcher's horses aren't winning in the same way they have in the past. He's never run a boatload of maiden claimers, but I don't disagree. A New York bred running for 50, you're right. I mean, this horse is a half to 5 runners. 2 of them ran. I mean, you say to me that 5 is some pedigree. This horse is a half to 2 horses that ran 80 buyers, buyers in the 80s, and the 3 that weren't as good all ran buyers in the 60s, which are better than the other ones. So, yeah, I agree, Maggie. This is the kind of horse that when this horse, not saying she can't win, you're not saying she can't win, but this is the kind of horse that could be 2-1 in this race if she were live.
No, it's true.
Half to Ultimate Empire, who Tommy Albatrani trained?
This is like a West Point horse?
Yeah, West Point horse. Didn't he win the Empire Distaff, or he came close? Not Distaff, I'm sorry, Classic.
Classic.
Not sure. Not sure. The best buyers I thought of the 2 good foals were in the 80s. But the reality is, yeah, this horse is not really, it's very just lukewarm because Broadway Angel in this race, Todd Pletcher, is going to take money. She can't be over 5-1 in this, right?
Well, she only has to run like a 50 buyer to win the race, so that's why she's right around 4-1.
That's Maggie's right. This horse is
chilling. The worry
chilling.
is the horse was never brought down to Saratoga. So, like, okay, was the horse never going to meant to be at Saratoga? But in July, they could have brought her down there thinking, okay, she had some talent. They left her back here, and then she
Well, she
went
was
to
in
the
Saratoga
sidelines.
originally where Todd keeps most of his 2-year-olds. And I don't think that we'll argue that she could win this race and not have been a horse that you would have wanted to run in Saratoga. But, I mean, she's probably, like you say, a 50 buyer. What race was she going to win in Saratoga? And she can't run for those 45 RN, you know, those lower races. So I understand her not being in Saratoga. I just think she's chilly, like Maggie said.
All right. Well, we want to check back in with Richard Migliore, who's standing by trackside. Impressions on this field on the track, Mig?
Well, Maggie, I'm going to go back to the one-horse Top Hat Invasion. I liked her in the paddock, and I liked her on the racetrack. I liked the warm-up she got from Kendrick Carmouche, and I think she is going to improve with blinkers and a more aggressive rider in Kendrick. I think this filly is going to be a part of the pace. I think that's their intention, and I like what I see from her. She's going to be my top selection, a lot of it because of how she looks and how she's conducting herself. The 10-horse Meb's Web, she kind of won me over on the racetrack. The more I watched her warm up, the more I liked her. She's really well turned out, could not look better. Really traveling well, and I like the way Johnny Velasquez warmed her up. They seemed like they were just kind of simpatico. He really galloping into his hands nicely, and she had a nice way of going. The 11 Big Sin, kind of unruly a bit with the pony and on the racetrack. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more professionalism from her, but it does look like she's settled down a bit as they've headed closer to the starting gate. So it's a big field, a lot of questions, no doubt. Like they say, Maggie, people got opinions. The horses have the answers.
Meg, quite a line there. As Paul, you were also talking about number 12, Micro Margarita. Now, she was one where I thought could take money, or I thought could be totally kind of dead, and she's pretty dead on the board at 11-1 here for Rudy Rodriguez, who, yes, it's been a pretty chilly summer for Rudy overall. But, I mean, the problem with the pedigree for me is this dam is 24 years old.
Yeah.
So she's 22 when she had this filly.
Air Forbes 1 mare you're talking about, debuts with Lasix. You know why I like the horse? The works are so slow, I couldn't believe it. I mean, there does not 1 4-furlong work under 50. The 5 furlong works are 104, and Manny gets aboard, and this one is owned by Rudy. So I thought it was dangerous. The horse is now clicking down to 11-1. It was just one of those things where I'm like, you know what? Owned by Rudy. The 9's the favorite in here. This horse has been training here at Belmont. Now, he's been taking some of his horses back to Belmont, some back to Aqueduct, and a couple of them have won that have gone back to Aqueduct. I just thought the 12 was sneaky because owned by Rudy, and he could place this horse wherever he wanted to.
That's true. I always pay attention when trainers own horses, too, because you know they're in the right spot, if not a little below what they think they might be as well. So, now, Big Sin, another first-time starter. We don't see many. I've never seen a handsome Mike. Have you guys?
Doug O'Neill trained handsome Mike. He's got to be one
you
of the
want
first.
the PA
He's standing for 4,000, which is very incredible considering we've never seen him before. And I agree, Maggie. I can't recall seeing him either. I vaguely remember him.
I remember this
He won the Pennsylvania Derby, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
For
It was like some kind of
2012.
big upset or
big
something.
upset. That was his
like
biggest
a big
win.
favorite or something that didn't.
It was. I want to say it was Redham and
Wasn't
O'Neill,
that
and they
long
threw him
ago.
into a
You're
ton
right.
of races.
You're right. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
He might have even
12.
run like
It
the
was
Breeders' Cup
2012.
Classic.
Yeah,
now
they
that
threw
you
him in
mention
every
it.
No,
spot.
I think he did.
Yeah.
He did.
Was he in the Breeders'
subsequently.
Cup Classic that Quality Road was scratched the gate from?
Might have been after that, I think.
It was after?
I think it was after that. Anyway, they are loading into line here. Andy, you took a shot here
I picked
with
the 10.
Meb's Web.
12.
Paulie,
I think I shot with the 12.
with the 12. All right,
I'm
Paul
trying to
going
get
with
the 8
big
and 10
price.
into the number somehow.
All right. Yeah, I think all over the map will run better here. Want to forgive her for that sloppy track race. After that, divorce papers are signed as Larry Colmes. He has the call for you of this New York bred maiden 52 for the 2-year-old fillies. As we throw it up to him, the Empire 6 starts here.
And the last couple fillies still to go into the starting gate here. Bella Invasion will take her spot in line. One of the long shots in the field. Steps up, goes in, just waiting for Micro Margarita to be the last one to load. Good luck to all the Empire 6 players out there. They're all in line. They're off. Top Hat Invasion and Stytown Baby out quickly. All over the map is showing speed 2 and now goes up to challenge 4 and poke ahead in front. And then it's Big Red Girl back running in 4th position, followed by B Magic in 5th, Micro Margarita 6th on the outside, then Bella Invasion, Broadway Angel, Meb's Web, and last of them all is Big Sin. So they're racing through this opening quarter mile in 22.6 seconds, and all over the map has taken the lead here, opens up by 2. Top Hat Invasion is second by another 4 lengths as they round the far turn. Then comes Big Red Girl on the outside in 3rd. followed by Stytown Baby, fourth on the inside. Bella Invasion is next. Then it's B Magic, who's wide. Meb's Web is after that, and then Broadway Angel on the inside. Coming to the top of the stretch, a 45.77.5. And at the top of the lane, it's all over the map, and Joel Rosario in front as they turn for home. This 18-1 long shot has a 2.5 length lead over Top Hat Invasion in second. And then comes Stytown Baby on the inside, followed by Broadway Angel. It is still all over the map, and all over the map is pulling away. All over the map, and Joel Rosario were all over this field. They won it by almost 7 lengths in the end. Broadway Angel was second, tight for third there. Top Hat Invasion or Meb's Web.
Upset again for Mr. Raymond Handel, as you had to forgive this filly, Andy, for her sloppy track race. It was too bad to be true, because I remember that day, both you and I were very interested in her.
Well, no, that's exactly why I remembered her. We talked about her that day, and I think said after the race, you want to give her another chance on a dry track. And it's funny, we were watching the race, all of us up here, obviously, and we both had the same point. When Larry said 45.77.5, we went, that's very fast. But I think simultaneously, every one of us said, but she's going pretty easily.
We did look at her.
and I'm just annoyed at myself for not picking her on top, because I actually had really thought about picking her on top, but I did bet a few dollars and had the exact. The 10, by the way, probably should have been second in this race. Didn't break particularly well.
Yeah, it came rolling down the center of the track late. Yeah.
And weaving in and out of horses, too. And it just seemed like she kind of got pinched out of the gate. Maybe we could check out ahead on here. And Johnny just kind of had to grab her a bit so she didn't clip heels. So that put the 10 behind the 8 ball for sure.
Yeah, and the favorite, B Magic, just nowhere. The 12, the other Rudy Rod, nowhere. We talked about some of these barns are a little chilly. Maybe you stay away from. And a barn that's hot and underrated is Ray Handel. And he also has Kansas Kiss in the next race. So I think a lot of people will dismiss because there's so many buzz around a lot of horses. That horse did not run bad first time out. So 18-1 to start off your Empire 6.
You are absolutely right about that, Paul. She ran very well, very green, and was really picking up the pieces late. As we'll check out number 10. You want to keep an eye on her. Johnny just sees the 2 horses on either side of him kind of coming over and in. So she's definitely behind it, considering this race was wired
the best
on
part
the
is
front end.
We always think of Joel coming from way behind. He's so good on the front end, too.
That's the second race today's one on the front end, as Joel Rosario kicking things off to a nice start here. As we'll come back, Omaha Beach returns off the long layoff, a winner in the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. You're watching America's Day at the Races.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse, and if he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1-2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1-2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Back on America's Day at the Races, Greg Wolf back in, stepping in for Maggie Wolfendale, and a big number to kick off this Empire 6 mandatory payout all over the map. Ray Handel, Joel Rosario.
Wow. Good call by Andy. I know Andy liked this horse a little bit and took to the front end. Joel did a great job taking the initiative and going very, very fast. And everybody was like, oh, is it going to stop? Not going to stop. 38.60 to start your Empire 6. And that pick 5 was really not tough to get to for 3,100. Wow.
Let's head downstairs to Mig.
Thanks, Greg. And I'm here with winning trainer Ray Handel. Ray, you've had just having a tremendous year and a tremendous Belmont meet. You got to be thrilled with the way things are going.
Yeah, we're really firing on all cylinders. So, you know, it's good to keep the momentum coming from Saratoga like we had, and, you know, to pick up some dubs here. It's been great, and just keep the momentum going.
All over the map. Kind of, you were disappointed in the last effort, but it was in the slap. You were expecting it to run well.
Yeah, I was. I was really disappointed with her last run. I thought, you know, she'd really fire a big one. And, you know, after the race, I was like, you know, I was hoping that it was just the track, but, you know, I'd lost a lot of confidence in her. And, you know, that's why we dropped her in for the 50 here. I said she really needed to show me something today, and she did, so it was great.
She showed a lot of speed. It looked like Joelle Rosario, her rider, was intent on the lead. Was that the instructions?
I just gave him the keys to the car. You know, I was a little surprised that she didn't break as sharp because I had popped her out a couple times before that last race, which was my first run. And she came out just okay in that race with Manny last time. So I did a lot of gate work with her. I broke her once, and then I just broke her out of the gate 3 days ago, just as a refresher, just to make sure she would come out of there and he could kind of do whatever he wanted. You know, I didn't necessarily think she needed to be on the lead, but I wanted him to be able to make that decision.
Well, he made the right call, obviously, and she was good. Now, you've got a first-time starter coming up in the next race. You want to tell us anything?
A second time. But, yeah, she ran big first time out. She was a little green with the dirt in her face. She kind of dropped back and lost a bit of ground, swung out wide, and was absolutely rolling. She just got nosed out for second. And for me, that's a lot because most of my horses need to run first time out. She ran like she could have won. So we're expecting some good stuff from this filly. So
well, it looks like a loaded race. Ray, congratulations. Great job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank
Guys, looking to double up. We got a little inside info, so let's see what happens.
Mig, thanks. Ray Handel. Well done. Yeah, this horse
got the favorite in the next race.
It's glasses day or something? The Mig's got the glasses
Mig
on.
looks
Ray's
good in the
got
glasses.
on. Guys, it doesn't work. Trust me, I've been trying to use them, and it doesn't make you smart.
Make Ray Handel looking smart.
Looking smart after that race. And he's got the horse to beat coming up in a wide open race next. But early pick 5.
Second choice,
3,100.
favorite. Second choice, favorite. You get one horse.
I'm laughing because I picked the 3 on top in here, Kansas Kiss, and one of the reasons I didn't pick the 8 on top, thinking to myself, am I really going to pick Ray Handel to win back-to-back races? I should have.
Right? And he's opened up completely live, this filly has.
9-2 from an 8-1 morning line, has a race under her belt. Start number 2 today, debuted at 5.5 at Saratoga. This kicks off the late pick 5, which I think most believe is a pick 4, thanks to Sister Charlie.
But it's still not easy. You know, that's the thing. You looked at his Empire 6, and $3.2 million was bet into it. So in reality, it's actually it's a positive equity bet. It's actually about 3 cents bet for every dollar you bet after takeout, given the carryover. But Kansas Kiss, who I picked in here, was green first time out and actually did run well in the contest race. It wasn't a great race that she was in, and I can understand the logic, Paul. You talk about all the tips in here.
Yeah.
Now, we know that a bunch of them are going to be bad tips, but they're not all going to be wrong in all likelihood, and that's the thing. There probably are horses in here that haven't started that might be better than this horse, but I do think the Kansas Kiss, with the benefit of a race, will run a bigger buyer, but will it be good enough?
I'm surprised, though, that one of the first-time starters isn't your favorite, that the one with experience, because I heard so much on all these other horses.
Well, but there's the thing, Paul. There's so much. First of all, I'm not
It's
saying
all
they won't
spread
be
out,
favored.
you mean?
It's spread out a bit, right? I mean, if there's tips on 5 or 6 horses, how is it that one of them is going to be the definitive one?
The 2, the 6, the 7,
Right.
the 8, the 11, all first-time starters, all working very sharp for their debuts coming up. So, yeah, likely that is all spreading out in here. We'll go through this field in a lot more depth coming up in just a moment. We're going to look back, though, to a huge return off the bench for a Hall of Fame trainer, horse who would have been your favorite in the Kentucky Derby. 5-month layoff, had that entrapped epiglottis. Omaha Beach returns in a sprint at 6 furlongs and runs down Chancelot. He just ran What a huge performance off the bench.
Yeah, this is really an exciting thing. It's one of the things you love about the game, right? Good horses running well. Now, I don't know who that Chancelot was that we saw in the Amsterdam, and I don't know where he's hiding now because he hasn't come back and run nearly as well as he did that day, but that was one of the best races you've ever seen. He still ran well in here, and for Omaha Beach to beat him like this off a layoff, that's a pretty impressive thing to have happen.
It was unreal. I mean, Papa Mandela is just, he's the master. And he's the kind of guy, if the horse has even a pimple, he will not run. So when I knew that Omaha Beach was in this race, I couldn't believe it. And I got to give it up for Flagstaff, who ran a 97 Beyer Gallant trying to keep up with these two horses. And even Jorge Navarro tipped his hat to Papa Mandela. I would think that he goes to the mile, I guess.
Let me say a couple of things. First of all, I got a 103 Beyer at the victory. Ryan Martin, who works in our press office, was making a case for me to run him in the Breeders' Cup Classic at 1.25 miles. And I thought he made a valid point, we'll get to it, in saying that who's he afraid of? I mean, who is in there that you're so afraid of and taking a shot? And we were talking about horses that have gone from 6 furlong stakes wins off of layoffs to 1.25 mile wins. Turkoman actually did it in 1986 in the Tallahassee and the Widener down in Florida. So we'll see, but isn't it tempting to try this year's Classic, guys?
I didn't even think that was on the table, though. I thought it was sprint or dirt mile according to connections.
Oh, I thought Jay Privman said in a tweet last
Really?
night that all were on the table.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'm not saying you're going to do it, and I get that it seems like a lot, but, I mean, isn't this a year you want to run in the Classic?
True. Now, we had the LA Woman on earlier with us before we sent you out to Santa Anita. They went 109 and change for the 6 furlongs, even though they went 6.5 furlongs, where you just saw Omaha Beach went sub 109, like 108. So they went like 6 lengths faster to the 6 furlong mark than the fillies. They blazed because that racetrack is not very fast right now.
Look, Chancelot ran his race. Omaha Beach still able to run him down. Here's Mike Smith after the win.
Mike Smith aboard Omaha Beach there for the win. Mike, I don't even have words to describe what I just saw from him. Take us through the ride.
You know, he's one of those throwback classic horses, you know, anywhere from 3/4 to 1.25 miles. He's extremely fast. He has high cruising speed. He has stamina, and he's very, very intelligent. So that helps you get the distance. If you need him to be quick, he can be quick. He just does it all. He's just a super horse.
It's like you had a crystal ball, because earlier when I talked to you, you kind of laid this out as your ideal trip for him. Were you just smiling down the backside?
I certainly was. I mean, the only thing that didn't actually work out exactly like I thought, Michelle, was I wind up on the inside. I thought I'd wind up on the outside, but he chose to stay off the rail, and I gave myself an option to go either way. When he stayed off, I just dove to the inside and thought it was quick enough down in there, and you know, he just ran just a tremendous race. You know, Mr. Mandela did an incredible job to get him ready for this race.
When you were coming up along the inside, it didn't look like Chancelot wanted to give up, and then at an immediate disadvantage being inside, what were your thoughts right then? Were you thinking, I might have made a wrong choice?
No, honestly, you know what I was thinking, Michelle, was I know this horse wants to go long, so at the end I should get the better of him. I was thinking, because he's just been a sprinter so far, and we've gone long before, and that was the difference. Is at the end he's a horse that wants to go long. He started to kind of hit his best right there at the wire, and it worked out for us.
Well, Mike, you told us it was his best work ever coming into this. I think you have a future in workout analysis.
You know, it really was. I was glad to be right at least once.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mike Smith aboard there, Omaha Beach for the Grade 1 Santa Anita Sprint Championship.
I think he might have been thinking I could have won another Triple Crown on this horse if not for that entrapped epiglottis.
I think he's thinking, boy, if I could ever beat McKinsey in the Classic, that would be one of the most satisfying moments of my career.
And I know we're going to go down and talk talk to Mig a little bit. Mig, now we know why Mike Smith chose Omaha Beach. Pretty easy.
Yeah, I think Mike's got a pretty good handle on horseflesh. He sat on some of the best horses of the last 25, 30 years. And Omaha Beach is, you know, he kind of said it right, a throwback, a horse that if you squeeze him, he's going to jump in there and show speed. And I was impressed with the fact, guys, that he showed so much speed without having to be hard ridden. He kind of took him up into the pocket, cruised in there. Again, good horses all possess speed, but the way they dole out that speed, and if Mike needed it, it was there. If he wanted him to wait on him, he waited on him. Again, the intelligence factor can't be underestimated with these good horses. And you could see at the top of the stretch the way Mike was trying to decide, am I going to go inside or outside him? And good riders, or your best riders, give themselves more than one option in case plan A goes wrong. They can go to plan B. But he slid up in there in a dead game performance. And you cannot say enough about Hall of Fame conditioner Richard Mandela. To get a horse ready to fire this kind of shot off the bench, he's just an incredible horseman. And I'm going to put something to bed right now. The obsession with my glasses, Andy. I've got a scratched cornea, so I had to stop wearing my contacts.
Stop looking for sympathy.
By the way, we're seeing Johnny Velasquez's all of his records going down, Mig. Mike Smith only one grade 1 from tying Jerry Bailey. Excuse me, John Velasquez took down Jerry Bailey's greatest stakes, but now Mike Smith only one grade 1 from tying Bailey.
Bailey's returning, so Bailey will be done retiring soon. What do you think, Richie?
Well, you never know, but records are made to be broken, and when you're talking about these guys, you're talking about the best of the best, the elite, and I'm sure it's flattering for guys to set records. It's even flattering when guys can surpass them, but takes good man or good rider to get the record, and just as good a rider to break it.
It's going to be so much fun to see where Omaha Beach winds up. And if what you're saying is right, then everything's on the table.
Well, Mike's gonna have Midnight Bisou in the Ladies Classic, right? So Omaha Beach, where does he go remains to be seen. He's gonna pick up a mount in the Breeders' Cup Classic, whether we don't know. But you make a good point, can Omaha Beach go there and win that race after what we saw from McKenzie?
Probably not. But I mean,
is it worth the shot?
It's a hard decision, but I think you have to take into account that this year's Classic is just, if there was were 1 or 2 horses out there that are just really tough horses and he'd have to run significantly better than he's ever run, I think it makes the decision easier, right? And they just say, I'm not going to run in there where I'm going to be like the 5th choice. But how big a price is he going to be?
And let's keep in mind, this is an ultra-conservative trainer.
Yes. This is just a little bit like Barclay Tagg. He might not even go to the Breeders'. He might train this horse up. There's still the Pegasus. There's still the Dubai World Cup. There's a lot of other stuff. I'm just saying.
I think we're going to see him on Breeders' Cup weekend. I just don't know where.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back. Late pick 5 coming up from Belmont. What a performance from Omaha Beach, and oh, what could have been. We'll be back.
Mastery retired undefeated, winning his 4 starts by a combined 20 lengths. A 6-figure September sale purchase, he won impressively in his 2-year-old debut at Santa Anita. From there, he captured the Grade 3 Bob Hope Stakes and completed his juvenile campaign with a dominant performance in the Grade 1 Los Alamitos Futurity. At 3, the top-rated son of Candy Ride sizzled in the San Felipe. Now his much-anticipated first crop has arrived. Mastery, standing at Claiborne Farm.
like best about Run Happy Desire. He showed so much brilliance to win the grade ones that he won, different racetracks, and he was competing against the best horses that made it look easy. When I first heard about the bonus, I thought it was good for everybody, buyer or seller, gets everybody on the same page, that there's a lot of enthusiasm with the horse already, and I think that just helps add to it. I think these Run Happies, the public already wants to like them. I think that's a great thing, and I think that's put a little icing on the cake for the whole deal.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures. And there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guys win in the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Welcome back to America's Day at the Races, as always brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, as we have horses in the paddock only for a few more moments here for race number 6. It is a maiden special weight for the 2-year-old fillies, and we are going the 6 furlongs here. And while we have riders up, I want to start with a horse who is donning the iconic Phip Silks, and that's number 2, Power Move, as we do have a horse acting up pretty badly here in the paddock. She's been quite washed. That's number 3, Kansas Kiss. But getting back to number 2, Power Move. Look, this filly has more turf pedigree than any kind of dirt pedigree. Yeah, you go back a generation, and it does include Pleasant Home, who won the Breeders' Cup Distaff and was probably, if you split hairs, probably the best at a mile. But Shug opts to run this filly on the dirt first time, and she is solid. There's substance to her. She's professional. She's acting and looking like a horse beyond her years. She's fit in here, and I think it's encouraging that Shug brings her in a dirt sprint first time out. The only problem is maybe physically she looks like a little bit more than this. Like I said, maybe more like a mile. As another one that has had a little bit of buzz coming into this race is number 6, Amazing Ride for Tony Dutrow. She probably, of these firsters, looks the most like the most effective dirt sprinter. She's compact, she's kind of stocky, she's got a big engine to her behind. She's been very professional and very fit. So I'd be scared of her. I wouldn't be surprised if she has some early speed with Kendrick Carmucha aboard. His number 7 is Lake Avenue for Bill Mott. Yeah, he's one of the guys that's been a little bit chilly, but I like the pedigree on this filly for Godolphin. Tappet out of 7th Street, who is a multiple Greatest Stakes winner, and her only other foal has been Marking, who was very fast and very precocious as well. And she's got some size to her. There's a lot of physical maturity. It's mental maturity I'm a little bit worried about with her. But she is fit. She does look sharp. She is wearing blinkers first time out, though, as we'll also take a look at number 9, Money Never Sleeps for Todd Pletcher. She's a little bit smaller, a little more unassuming than maybe the first couple I've talked about. She's okay. She could win because she's very well prepared by the looks of things here in the paddock. There was just others I was a little bit more taken with. Now, number 11 is Yellow Brick Road. I was excited to see this filly as she did work very fast at the OBS Open sales, 10 flat. She did cost $230,000, but guys, she does not look good in her coat. I mean, it's very dull, very drab. She's a big, powerful looking thing, but I can't trust a horse who looks like that at this time of the year.
All right, Maggie, thanks for that. Good information as we kick off our post parade with Roma Carpe.
This might make it 5-6 in the Empire 6 if this horse gets the money.
That's very possible. 60-1 first time out. 2-horse power move. Shug McGahee, more than ready filly, debuting with some good works.
Out of the damn trophy wife, so maybe somebody who named this made a power move. 7-1 for Jose Lozcano.
Nice turf horse, trophy wife.
Kansas Kiss, can Ray Handel go back to back this one with a race under her belt?
Taking a lot of money. I picked her on top. I couldn't take a short price with all the firsters, but she did run well with being green first time out.
Good Shabbos, 3 starts under her belt, and the horse who beat her last time out would win a stake at Laurel on turf next out.
Yeah, and she was so unlucky her first time out. She just got out-bobbed for the win. I don't know if she's good enough, but she's had 3 really good starts.
Bejewel, first time out, John Toscano Jr., New Year's Day filly.
Not taking much money. We're 10 flat at the 2-year-old sales. Supposedly, I couldn't see the workout.
Amazing Ride, Anthony Dutrow, Kendrick Carmucha aboard.
Well, the first buzz horse we've gotten to, this one's been working well in the morning. Son of Canny right out of First Samurai mare, Endless Channer.
Here's Lake Avenue, Bill Mott, daughter of Tappet, with some big drills as well.
Nothing but tips on 2-year-olds. I hadn't heard one on Lake Avenue, of course, a big street in Saratoga. But this one's taking the most money right now. Any of the 2-year-olds, their dam was very good. She produced 3 foals that ran. One was good in Marking.
19-1 on Strike Magic, Mark Hennig.
Yeah, this is another one. 48-1 out of the gate. A nice drill and Into Mischief, and we've been seeing a lot of these Into Mischiefs. Maryland bred this filly.
Big weekend for Mark Hennig.
Yeah.
Money Never Sleeps, Todd Pletcher.
This is a homebred for these connections. It's really kind of more turf, but there are some dirt runners from the dam. It was a turf horse.
Super Blood Wolf Moon saw this one debut at Saratoga late August. Blinkers go on for start number 2.
Yeah, and this is a horse that he brought back to Aqueduct, and we've seen a couple of these horses. The first time blinkers, he's 20%.
This was bad.
Really bad. But he's getting played a little bit.
Yellow Brick Road. Maggie didn't like the coat first time out, but has been working pretty sharp in the morning.
I'm going to say it, Greg. After Maggie's comments, for me, it's goodbye, Yellow Brick Road.
Wow.
Okay, we'll see. Elton John does not like you right now.
Don't get Greg mad.
Summer Belief, Joe Talamo, Chad Summers.
You were playing the Cowardly Lion in school, didn't you, Greg? The 12 Summer Belief, a summer front filly out of a proud citizen mare.
That was the Tin Man.
Yeah, you're opening up for a lot of jokes there, Paul. You got to be very, very careful.
Set him up.
Late.
I know I was the wizard. I don't know what the rest of you were.
How did I know that? 191,000 in the late pick 5 and growing. And yeah, we have a bunch of tips on first-time starters that all seem to be working well in this race, and it's the horse who started who's favored right now.
Right, and the Bill Mott horse. I mean, was there a tip on Lake Avenue? I mean, obviously there is somewhere because Lake Avenue taking a lot of
They have been working
big
okay.
workout.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7th Street, the Dam, I'm sure some will remember, ran for Kieran and Darley and then Godolphin. She won at least one, if not 2 Grade 1. She was a terrific runner. And I want to say, I think she won the Apple Blossom. And I want to say she really liked the Slop, for whatever it's worth.
The one horse that I thought actually would take more money would be the Shug McGee horse, which is the 2 power move. That horse had got some monster work.
Well, I think she's very live in this field at 8-1. I mean, Shug's not a trainer noted for winning with firsters. And this pedigree is all turf. I mean, you got more than ready, but also Trophy Wife herself actually was a pretty solid turf runner. And she has produced nice turf runners, but bad dirt runners. Interesting. Her second dam is Pleasant Home, which means the dam, and follow this, the dam Trophy Wife is a half to the dam of Guarana.
And Pleasant Home won by a pole here in the Breeders' Cup,
but
right?
Guarana, who is one of the top 3-year-old fillies in the country, her dam is is out of Pleasant Home. And you're right, Pleasant Home won the Breeders' Cup Distaff here by a pole.
Yeah.
Let's go trackside checking again with Maggie.
Yeah, I think that filly's very interesting here. Yeah, there's some dirt pedigree if you go chasing. Immediate is more turf, but like I said, I think she should be able to handle the dirt just fine. But want to take a look at the horse who's 3-1 and your favorite right now. That's Kansas Kiss, as Ray Handel is looking to keep things rolling, taking our last race, and she ran well while being green. You know, it looked as though she was getting out around the turn and she kind of dropped back, and when doing so, and Dylan Davis was trying to control her, and then she just had this great late wide run down the lane. She came in, she was completely washed out when she came in here. And as I had mentioned back in the paddock, she kind of acted up a bit when the rider Manny Franco got aboard. And look, she settled down a little bit out there, but still, there were just a lot more appeasing options than what I saw from her, to be quite honest. I'm not going to take anything away from her, and I'm not going to be surprised when she wins, because that last race was good. But physically, I would rather look elsewhere. And Mark Henning, wow, if you watched the races here yesterday, you saw 2 very nice 2-year-old performances from 2 second-time out, and second and third-time out horses. Sonaman being the third-time out horse. But Strike Magic, she's not taking much money. She's 22-1, but could find worse looking 22-1 shots than her, because she looks like a dirt sprinter. And watching her workout, granted, it was a while back, it was 3 back. She's very much on the bridle while inside, and then she got maybe a little bit leg weary towards the end. Her workmate kind of finally got to her. But the fact that she looks like a dirt sprinter, where some of these horses may look like they want to go a bit further, eventually, maybe she could be effective in this spot. And she's been so professional, and she looks really fit and really strong for the Hennig barn. Now, another second-time starter is number 10, Super Blood Wolf Moon, for Rudy Rodriguez, who I loved. I liked her a lot, and she was deplorable. I thought she would have much more speed than what she did. So now, second time, the blinkers go on for her. Just a short cup. I don't know if they're trying to get her to break better or what they've been trying to get her to do, but I'd love to see her break more effectively. And Paul, I think you brought up an interesting point, that the horses that we've seen ship back over to Aqueduct with Rudy. Now, Rudy Rodriguez goes Saratoga Aqueduct, and his brother Gustavo is the one who handles the horses here at Belmont. So I think it might be promising that she goes back over to Aqueduct with Rudy. I'm sure he's kind of had a hands-on approach with her thus far. Also, in addition to the blinkers, the front bandages also go on. So she's a bit of a heavier, stockier filly. Definitely looks fitter this second time around, though, Greg.
What do you think with Super Blood Wolf Moon?
I like what Maggie said. Again, the horse did no running first time out, and is really going to need to run in this group from what we've heard in the morning. But you know, you can't trump experience, so you don't know.
I thought Maggie did a good job of evading the fact that she was making fun of the name the first time the horse ran. And then we told her there is such a thing as a Super Blood Wolf Moon. I recall Maggie saying, I still think it's a funny name. You know, this horse broke slow first time out and was on the rail. I didn't think there was anything wrong with the rail that day. Listen, a second-time starter a horse could just not run first time and run better second time out. And I value Maggie's opinion a great deal. This horse just did no running. I didn't see anything to like about this horse's debut. But doesn't mean she couldn't be a different horse today.
You like the 3, Greggy?
I think the 3's dangerous, yeah. 33-1 first time out to be 7-2 in here when you have a bunch of horses who are working well first time out.
But you know, the money is
Experience means a
spread
lot,
on the
though.
firsters. I think it's a big spread on the firsters. I picked the 3 Kansas Kiss, but I understand the logic that if there's a good firster in here, she's pretty likely to beat her. Wouldn't you say? And there's so many of these horses are live. I mean, sometimes, listen, we've seen it in Saratoga before, where there's like 5 tips in a race and 2 that started that aren't even that good, and they run 1-2.
Yeah.
Experience, there's nothing trumps, well, I mean, brilliance will trump experience, but will we have a brilliant horse here?
The thing is, too, 6 furlongs, I think, includes. If this was 7 furlongs a mile, then the horses that have ran the 3 would have a way bigger advantage. The 6 furlongs, these first-time starters can just blast from the gate and go, you know?
Yeah, I love this time of year for seeing good 2-year-olds, right? I thought we saw some really nice maiden winners yesterday. There's 2 for Mark Hennig, and some also rans in the race that ran well. And I really think that, you know, you see some good horses in Saratoga in the summer, but you start to see them in October, November at Aqueduct as well. We've seen some of our best horses start debuting, and I'm excited by what we're seeing. And that's why I like these races, right? You got the potential that you might
100%.
see some future stars in here.
I mean, we've had horses who've come back to win the Derby. Well, we have had a horse who didn't start till he was 3 years old win a Derby and win a Triple Crown. But
American
late
Pharoah ran
December,
dead last in his first start.
Who said Pegasus didn't win, I think, until late December.
Sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. And you know, the 2-year-old fillies, let's be honest. Look at the group in the Frizette. Look at who ran the Alcibiades Friday. Look in California. They're not killers. They're not running big, fast numbers. Doesn't mean they can't improve and won't improve with time. I think Mark Hennig's horse that ran yesterday is as good as almost any of the 2-year-olds that we've seen. His winner, I thought, with Rudy's horse ran second. Those are got an 82 buyer. That's a big number. Look at the Frizette. Those horses haven't run buyers in the 80s. And you've got a field like this at 6 furlongs, these 2-year-old fillies. There's a good chance that there's some horses in here that are going to put their name in the hat at some point in the 2-year-old stakes going forward, or 3-year-olds next year.
Have we seen our Derby winner even hit the racetrack yet? Interesting question.
Remains to be seen, yeah.
There's the 7 that just left our screen.
But if you
Lake
had
Avenue.
to make a wager right now, I mean, it's 'tis the law. If you had to make a wager right now,
what?
If you were forced right now to make a wager on a horse in the Kentucky Derby, who would it be? Forced
right
to.
now,
Right
if I was
now.
forced, I'd bet on Dennis's moment.
I bet 'tis the law. That's actually a good point. And I'd give
I
Scabbard
might
a
bet
little
Bob
bit of
Baffert. Yeah, he's pretty good in the Derby.
8 rings might be in the mix as well.
Yeah, I know you're saying even forced. I mean, none of us would bet any of them. Right now, who would I bet? I bet some horse we've never heard of.
Right.
Right. Probably the Derby winner will be somebody we're not even thinking about.
You saw Lake Avenue. It's a cool day here. Getting a little sweaty there on the back end.
Do you live on Lake Avenue, Greg?
What's that?
You've lived on Lake Avenue, haven't you?
In Saratoga?
Right off of Lake Avenue.
Like right off Lake, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to Lake Avenue School. The first year I went to Saratoga. My mom taught for over 20 years at Lake Avenue School.
Saratoga Hunch Play. Here we go. Late pick 5 starts here. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing. For the call, here's Larry Colmus.
Summer Belief will be the last of 12 to enter the starting gate here. 7-2 on the favorite Kansas Kiss as the assistant starters work on getting Summer Belief to come forward to the outside stall. And there she goes. They're all in line. They're off. Power Move out quickly on the inside. Amazing Ride has some early foot. Super Blood Wolf Moon outside of them, and then comes Lake Avenue, who came out running in 4th. Strike Magic is 5th, and then Summer Belief going up on the far outside with Yellow Brick Road, then Good Shabbos. Kansas Kiss is next by another 4. And then it's back to Money Never Sleeps. Bejeweled to the inside in a good way last year is Roma Carpe. 22.15 was the first quarter as they make their way around the far turn. It's Amazing Ride on the inside, now having the lead. Alongside is Super Blood Wolf Moon and Summer Belief going up on the outside of them. So these 3 are right together as they make their way toward the top of the stretch. Lake Avenue is now coming on and takes 3rd as they turn for home. And Kansas Kiss is getting going on the outside with Good Shabbos and then Yellow Brick Road. And on the inside, it's Power Move. They're coming down to the 8th pole, and it is Lake Avenue. Lake Avenue is in charge here, starting to pull away from Amazing Ride on the inside. Power Move is finishing fast. Power Move, with that early speed out of the gate, dropped back and came on and won in hand. Wow. Super effort there. Then Lake Avenue, Good Shabbos, and Amazing Ride.
Power Move finds another gear that nobody had in here. First time out, Shug McGahee, Phipps stable, and a more than ready filly.
I want to watch this race about 7 or 8 more times, but this horse ran, and Larry touched on it.
Wow.
Showed speed early, dropped back, and it's funny. I mean, this race was over, right? Lake Avenue, we were all saying, why don't we bet Lake Avenue here at the 8th pole? And then suddenly, coming in the 16th pole, I said to you, Paul, this race is not over yet.
No, it's not. Lescano took the horse to the rail, then wheeled out, and I mean, he wins under wraps. We got to go back to the beginning. He broke this horse on top, and I bet you Shug probably told him, listen, encourage this horse out of the gate, see where you land, and then everybody, the cavalry charge sort of went by him. Then Lescano sort of stayed back, and wow, I can't believe this horse re-rallied and ran this horse down.
And this was a good field.
Yes.
This was one of these races where there were stories, and I think they lived up to it. I don't think the 6 ran badly. Who finished a distant third here. 1:10.3 seems like a pretty reasonable time, I believe, on this surface. Nice horses.
And we got to go back and look at this again. This was impressive. First out, Power Move, Jose Lescano, Shug McGahee, Phipps stable. They have a talented 2-year-old filly, wins her debut at 6-1 prices when we come back.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one of a kind, high speed, high stakes action. And Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Kentucky Derby winner Orb. On the track, his runners have scored on both dirt and turf, including multiple stakes winner Autumn Warrior and Sipacan Harbor, winner of the Grade 1 Spinaway Stakes at Saratoga. On the track, Orb continues to add winners. And in the sales ring, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $250,000 in 2019. Classic winner, classic pedigree, Orb, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races. What an impressive first time out performance from this filly by More Than Ready.
Yeah, I mean, this is these kind of races get you excited, right? To see these 2-year-old firsters, and you know, you hate to be disappointed, and there was no disappointment here. There were a number of horses that weren't even in the first 2 that I think probably ran well in here, but both of these horses that ran 1-2 ran well, and Power Move, aptly named, wouldn't you say, Paul?
Yeah, it was. Because when you look, watch Jose, he had broken on top,
yeah,
but he makes a key move right here, and you know what? I'm just going to go right to the rail and take my shot. And watch him just he doesn't even hit her. He just sort of flags her, and when he flags her, wow, she takes off. He does not hit her. I mean, he might hit her once or twice right here, but he's just flagging her.
You know, and a lot of horses won't make that facile move through the inside like that. It's not the same kind of thing, but a number of years ago, Shug won with a firster named Smuggler, who I believe ended up being 3-year-old filly champion, and she came from the clouds. I think in that case ran down a Mark Hennig runner and was way back at the 8th pole and then made a big move. This was a visually impressive win and a quick race as well. This is a nice horse.
Empire 6 mandatory payout, 3.2 mil in this pool. $38 start, now a $14 horse.
Yeah, I mean, if you're alive, good luck going forward. And, you know, it's funny, the Breeders' Cup fillies and colts on the first week of November, the races here possibly, and the Tempted for the fillies and the National for the boys, given some of these maiden breakers we're seeing, they could be the loaded races.
Sure.
Up next, Grade 3 Futurity. 6 furlongs on turf and 4-wheel drive. First time out was facing multiple winners in a stakes race at Colonial, and several of those horses have come back to either run well in stakes competition or win stakes. So a lot to like with 4-wheel drive to do that at first asking.
Yeah, you're single, Paul. You're gutsy to single a horse in here because I picked her too.
Yeah.
But this race is wide open.
No, it's wide open, but yeah, you have to take a shot somewhere, right? Either here, Sister Charlie obviously going to be a horse that was going to be singled in a lot of different exotics here. I just think the way she ran and rated, usually Wesley Ward horses break out of the gate and they show that unbelievable speed, but this colt has showed to me that he could rate and finish, and I think that's what's going to be key here.
All right, we'll have much more on this coming up. Of course, he is a son of American Pharoah.
They're running on the turf like mad.
They are. Triple Crown champion, a race that Larry Colmus had the opportunity to call. Is it his favorite race? We're going to find out.
My favorite race is the 2015 Belmont Stakes, when we all witness history here at Belmont Park. American Pharoah becoming the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years, and I got to be the lucky guy to call the race. By the time that I walked into the grandstand, it was already electric. There's nothing quite like knowing that history could possibly be made, and you could just sense it was a special day.
It's post time for the Belmont Stakes.
The crowd's going crazy, and I look at the monitor, and they're showing me on the monitor, looking down at the starting gate. So I know where the camera is, and I give a thumbs up and say, okay, let's do this.
They're all in line, and we're ready for the start. They're off in the Belmont Stakes.
Just like that, there he goes, right out to the front. So I'm wondering, is anyone going to go out there and test him? I mean, there's some decent horses in this field. There's some pretty good ones. So onto the backstretch he goes. I'm thinking, what is going to stop this horse? Because it always happens. They never win. I'm looking at the horses behind him, and they're all starting to be ridden, and he's still cruising. And in the back of my mind is, this is happening. This looks like it's going to go. And then all of a sudden he's in front by 2, by 3 lengths in the middle of the stretch. And now the words that I want to say are going to be able to be said.
The 37-year wait is over. American Pharoah is finally the one. American Pharoah has won the Triple Crown.
It's an outer body experience at this point. Horses have crossed the finish line. It happened. The first Triple Crown in 37 years. And I remember charging back toward the window and just banging on the window in the announcer's booth as hard as I could possibly bang on this window. The crowd is unbelievably loud. It's a surreal moment that, I mean, I wish I could live over and over. I just wanted to be a race caller when I first started. I wanted to call anywhere, be able to just be a guy to do a job that he loves. I could have never in my wildest dreams have imagined that I would be atop this building at Belmont Park calling the first Triple Crown winner in 37 years.
Incredible good fortune
Yeah.
to call 2 Triple Crown winners. And coming in, taking over the legendary Tom Durkin and Larry Colmus, one of the best in the business. His calls are, we're going to remember those for a long, long time.
Yeah, and Larry and I became good friends. When I started getting into this business, I started working at Monmouth Park, and his greatest call was when my wife knows everything, beat my wife doesn't know. And it was a big thing that went over at SportsCenter. It was actually really fun, and he's had some great race calls. Started at Monmouth Park, and like he said, he was just dreaming of just calling races, and now he's calling the best races in the world, and a great call for American Pharoah's Triple Crown.
Here's the son of American Pharoah, 4-wheel drive. Word was out on him. He was facing multiple winners in his debut, and he was bet down to near even money, and he got the job done pretty easily.
Yeah, okay, so this race was hand-timed, and it was a track record. Now, what do you do with that? I don't know. But all I know is visually the way he's reaching out and striding out, I would think he's going to love the Belmont turns. When you look at some of the other horses in here, Tomato Bill, and Bolden had run at Colonial and run 2 races and ran 102 and 4. So if you look at beyond the times, the 4 ran almost 8 to 10 lengths faster. I don't know how faster the course was, but we'll see.
Here's another son of American Pharoah, another miracle. He faced on the dirt, green light go first time out, who'd come back to win the Saratoga Special. We saw him yesterday run second in the Champagne. Then broke his maiden on a race taken off the turf. Then they finally did get him on turf, and he won the Skidmore at Saratoga.
Very talented. He, like you said, second the green light go. He beat an okay horse in Irish Mias on an off-the-turf event to break his maiden, then he came back right here and won the Skidmore in nice fashion. Smaller type colt. I'm wondering if he's going to like going around these, sweeping turns a little bit at 5-1. So not really getting bet at the window from a 5-2 morning line.
Well, back in 1972, it was a very different race back then. But Secretariat was your Futurity winner. And I wonder how many knew that this horse would go on to become one of the greats of all time. Of course, it was on dirt back then.
Wow.
We're sprinting on turf this year.
Yeah, this is Super Blood Wolf Moon right here is what you're checking out on this backtrack. And it's awesome to see. I don't care what the kind of television we're getting. We're seeing, obviously, the great Secretariat, 16 for 21 lifetime, and Lucius Lauren. Yeah, they got the job done in 1972, about 5 months after I was born. So I'd probably put a wager on that at about 5 months old.
And the fraternities had some great horses winning in the past. Affirmed and Alidar had that run. I mean, at one time, one of the richest races in the country. It's Lucian, not Cushion, by the way. That's his brother.
Cushion,
I think
Lauren.
Cushion was his brother, I think.
Meanwhile, so we got 2 sons of American Pharoah lining up in this field, and here's a look at Freewheeler. This horse ran huge first time out for Todd Pletcher's son of Zitty Zip. Broke his maiden by 5 1/4 lengths, going 5 1/2 on the turf.
No, I don't think he can be discounted. I don't know who was behind him in there, but you win by that much in a turf sprint. What's not to like? I mean, I don't think there's a bad horse in this race.
No, the only thing that's not to like is Irad Ortiz Jr. was aboard, and then Wesley Ward comes calling into town, and Irad lands on his horse. Now, you do get Johnny V, so obviously maybe Johnny V always had this mount. He might have been out of town at that time, so you can't play really much into that. But the horse was impressive first time out and broke, which was the issue with a lot of the Pletcher horses at Saratoga. But New York bred taking on some others, and I'm not saying that's a disadvantage, but he's going to have to run today, and he gets not the best post.
That is way too big a price on another miracle of 5. Meanwhile, Tomato Bill, first time on turf. Christophe Clement, second in the Sanford to by your side after winning first time out at Delaware, getting on turf.
He's obviously talented. There's no turf on the dam side, but a more than ready could certainly handle the grass.
He's the same price right now as another miracle.
Another miracle's an overlay in here, right?
No question.
Big player.
We'll be back. Futurity coming up when we return.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Welcome back. You're watching America's Day at the Races, and we kick off our stakes action here at beautiful Belmont Park with the Grade 3 Futurity. We're six furlongs on the turf course, the Widener turf course at that, and a very, very evenly matched field here. A lot of horses with not that much experience, and we'll start off with one who took advantage of his maiden score in winning a stake first time out down at Colonial. That's number 4, Four-Wheel Drive, as he is your favorite. For Wesley Ward, and he won quite convincingly and quite easily, and he didn't do it in a fashion of, oh, he got the lead and nobody could quite, get to him. He sat patiently and then had a lot left in the tank and strided out quite nicely to the wire. He is very stocky. He's very short coupled, very broad, so getting anything over 6 furlongs is going to be a question mark, but I like his disposition. He's very, very relaxed here in the paddock, and that's a good thing. As we'll move on to probably the horse that is physically most impressive, and that's number 3, Embolden. Yes, he's a Virginia bred. He's been beating up on Virginia bred competition. That worries me a bit, but physically I like what I see here in the paddock. He's bigger, he's stronger, big hind end to him. Love what I'm seeing from him as far as his energy is concerned. And then the real wild card is number 2, Tomato Bill. He'll get Lasix off a bit of a break. He's very, very fit in here. I think he'll handle the turf, and he's very dangerous, Greg, coming out for the Christophe Clement barn.
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, 6-1 here. Tomato Bill, turf debut here in this Grade 3 Futurity. As we approach the 11-minute mark to post, we will have the post parade. Coming up, 6 furlongs on the turf for 2-year-olds running for $150,000. Welcome to America's Day at the Races, and those just joining us on MSG+. Good to have you with us. Our show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing, the go-to site covering the sport and lifestyle. Visit americasbestracing.net today. Grade 3 Futurity up next. Then it is Sister Charlie in the Grade 1 Flower Bowl, looking for a 6th consecutive Grade 1 win, and then a ticket to the Breeders' Cup on the line in the Grade 1 Frizette for 2-year-old fillies. Greg Wolf alongside former champion jockey Richard Migliori, New York Racing Association handicapper Andy Serling. I need my glasses today. I'm bringing everybody down here on the set. Looking forward to this Futurity coming up. That is what is next here for us, and this Wesley Ward runner, ultra impressive first time out, 4-wheel drive, the 4.
Yeah, and you were saying to Andy earlier and off camera as well that you wouldn't be surprised if anybody won this race. It's quality-filled field.
No, I agree. I think, last year in a bigger field for it, some would say, well, you have only 6. You could have 12 in here, and 8 or 9 could be filler. This is a very strong 6-horse field, and nobody's going to surprise me here. They've all run well in their debut, in their turf races. And then the one who hasn't been in the turf, Tomato Bill, well, he's run well in the dirt.
Let's take a look at what we have left for you this afternoon. Late Pick 4, races 7 through 10 ahead. Futurity next, then the Grade 1 Flower Bowl with defending Breeders' Cup filly and mare turf champion Sister Charlie looking for a 6th straight Grade 1 win, and then 2-year-old fillies trying to punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup juvenile fillies in the Frizette. Here's a look at the field, though, and the current odds here for this Futurity. 4-wheel drive, 8-5 current favorite. As a maiden, won a stakes race at Colonial in that debut for Wesley Ward. And right now, 8-5. You can play along with all the races we show you each and every day with Naira Bets. Take advantage of this promotion. Bet $200. You'll get $200 in your account when you use the promo code LIVE at sign up. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime with NairaBets.com or download the Naira Bets app. Our post parade coming up. And it's brought to you in part by OCD Pellets, celebrating over 10 years of supporting the equine industry with their 2-in-1 bone and joint supplement. For more information, visit OCDPellets.com. As we have a nice crowd on hand, youngsters enjoying the action.
The guy in the hat, just on the camera we were showing, I think that guy goes to more racetracks in the course of a year than anybody I've ever met. I see him everywhere, but he's always telling me I was just at such and such a track, like anywhere in the world is open to him.
Freewheeler kicks things off. Todd Pletcher, 5 1/4 length score in the debut on turf.
Hard to know if he beat anybody in his debut, but he beat them like a drum, and he has to be considered a contender.
Turf debut for Tomato Bill, second in the Sanford in the second start of his career.
And a horse that gets on the turf by more than ready, and Christophe Clement certainly excels with turf runners. This horse can run. I hope he doesn't get caught up in a speed duel.
2 turf starts, 2 turf wins, including a stakes win at Colonial by more than 13 lengths combined.
And it could potentially, if there is a speed duel involved in Bolden, as Mike Stidham's going to look to win the Matron, as he did yesterday, and now the Futurity today.
4-wheel drive, Wesley Ward for Breeze Easy, son of American Pharoah, the Triple Crown champ.
And American Pharoah certainly gotten off to a very hot start as a sire. Wesley Ward certainly knows how to get young horses ready, doesn't he?
Another American Pharoah. Gary Contessa sends out another miracle, winner of the Skidmore at Saratoga.
And his last win is better than it looks on paper because he didn't stalk the pace. He actually showed speed, took back when somebody else was aggressive, and re-rallied. This is a talented horse.
And Jack and Noah, quick turnaround. He just won on September 27th in his debut. Now he's coming right back.
Well, we've seen Mark Cassidy be successful with this in the past, but that's usually with horses with foundation. It's going to be interesting to see how a 2-year-old in the second start handles that quick turnaround.
That's your field. And again, as we talked about, it seems like almost anybody can win this race. Who will take the move forward? Here's Embolden, certainly one who seems like he could here for Mike Stidham, Joel Rosario. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale for more.
And standing trackside with owner Mike Faber of Dare to Dream stable with Embolden. And Mike, this is a horse, I mean, we're looking at the price tags in here. We got $500,000, we got $430,000, picked up for $95,000. And boy, physically, he's quite the horse to look at.
Yeah, he is. I mean, we loved him when we bought him at the sale. We didn't actually think we'd get him. His reserve was 110, and he didn't get the reserve through the ring, so it took some creative work to get him. But Stidham and Mike Stidham and Hillary and Alan and my brother and I loved him. And we wound up getting him, and he's a really cool customer.
Now, you had to be so pleased and having, too, the fact that Colonial opened up again, that he's a VA bred in the back of your mind, because he certainly took, and you guys took advantage of those races there.
Yeah, absolutely. That was in the back of our mind as a fallback kind of a thing. We thought he was, you know, better than just being a Virginia bred type horse. He's a smooth mover. He really floats over the racetrack. But we had that as a backup, knowing we were going to try to get in that stake, you know, after getting the maiden win, and hopefully better stuff beyond. But he's everything we thought he would be, and he's taken a step up today. Obviously, the competition's ramped up, but we think he's capable of beating these kind of horses. But it's a great race today.
Will he be on the front end? Because just looking at it, he does seem like the fastest horse on paper, at least.
I don't. It's hard to say. Unless he breaks like a rocket, I don't think we'll be on the front end. There's some other speed in here today. So it's going to be up to Joel, but it's not our goal to just, we're not going to send. So if somebody else wants to lead at all costs, we'll sit back in the pocket and try to make a run. The extra half furlong that he's gone for 5.5, and now 6. So I think, you know, he's better going a little bit longer. So I don't think we need the lead, but if nobody wants it and he breaks good, we'll take it.
Well, you got the right man to pilot him, Joel, looking for his 3rd win. Mike, best of luck here with Embolden.
Thank you so much, Maggie. Appreciate it.
All right, Dare to Dream stable looking to get Embolden, well, out of state bred competition into some graded stakes here in this Futurity, Greg.
Yeah, the Virginia bred tackling Open Company after taking that stakes race at Colonial by 3+ lengths at 2-5.
Did I miss this part of the discussion? Wasn't Secretary to Virginia bred?
I was just going to say, a pretty good Virginia bred won this.
I know we were just talking about him. I didn't know if that was
Yeah.
part of it. And Richie, excuse me, we were talking. It's contagious, Greg. It's your fault. About the pace offset. Now, I think that we can both agree that the 1 and 6 probably won't be part of the pace. There's no way of knowing how fast 4-wheel drive is early because that race was hand timed. So we don't know if it was a quick pace or not.
Right.
The 2 is fast. Is it turf sprint speed? The 3 Embolden is clearly fast, and another Miracle's very fast as well. Another Miracle benefit from being outside the other 2?
Well, I think gives him options, and he did kind of take back a little bit and rally from just off the pace last time. Could it be one of those scenarios where everybody has some speed in this race, right? And I agree with you. Some appear to have a bit
Oh,
more
yeah,
than
yeah,
others.
no, you're right.
But is it one of those deals where all the riders are thinking that and they come out looking at each other and one horse gets loose?
We see it too often, and we saw some preposterous pace scenarios yesterday,
Yes, yes.
particularly in the Joe Hirsch. And I know that you as a rider, and you're the one who said this to me for years, and it makes a lot of sense, getting your position going forward. If you come out aggressively, good things will happen.
Yeah, well, you come out forward, at least if somebody wants to go, they commit to going. And then you've got a legitimate pace. If you come out with the idea that, well, someone else is going to go, and you come out very passive, they make the lead and back things up and control the race. You can't allow yourself to be victimized. And the only way to do that is to allow yourself to let your horse run away from the gate, get your position going forward, and then settle.
Right, and you're not suggesting you come pumping out of the gate.
No.
You just let your horse establish his position, as you say. If others want to be more aggressive, it also stretches the field out, and I think it makes it a fair race for everybody.
Well, that's it, too. Even if you're on a closer, you don't want to come out passive, taking back, because then they fold over and they back it up in your face and you have no options. You want to let horses run. It stretches the field out. It creates options. And it'll be interesting to see here. And it is a good point. I'm not saying you send them. Just don't get in their way the first
and
16th of a mile.
It gives you a chance, too, if you're aggressive early and then you do want to find a place to tuck in, find some cover, you have a good chance to do that.
Exactly. And I think things that changed around here, obviously with Angel Cordero retiring, that was over 20 years ago, but both you and Jorge Chavez retired at similar times in New York, and both of you were aggressive riders. Now we see Kendrick Carmouche and Luis Saez, but this is not an aggressive colony, and one of the reasons is there just aren't as many aggressive riders.
Yeah, it just seems to me, and this is my theory on it, and I don't know this is correct, it's my theory, that a lot of the younger generation of riders don't work as many horses when they're getting ready to be jockeys, and they don't work as many horses once they're riding. So not only do they not kind of develop that clock, they don't keep it tuned. In the morning, you have to keep your clock tuned because you're going very specific times.
We know that guy's aggressive. Kendrick Carmouche on Tomato Bill, 8-1 right now. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
Yeah, we also know Kendrick Carmouche, well, he's definitely a horseman as he got his start riding other horses. His wife's a show horse trainer, so he has that kind of versatility in his back pocket, as Mig was alluding to. But want to talk about number one in here. That's Free Wheeler, whom, yeah, he won first time out. There was a lot of clocker reports on this horse, and watching his few breezes that were on XBTV, this guy was getting out in all of them, and he drifted out in that debut as well. Now, he comes in, he is wearing a Houghton bit, as I've said many times before. It's my favorite bit for a horse that wants to lug in or lug out. It's a straight bar, typically in their mouth, covered with leather, with a metal piece underneath that kind of makes a square under their jaw. So if you pull it one way, it'll tighten that bar up a little bit under their chin. So a horse is just going to be much more comfortable when they're not going in or out and having to be pulled on. Furthermore, I thought he looked a bit better in his coat as well back at Saratoga too. And look, 9-2 is not a bad price, but I just don't trust this horse that much. And ultimately, I'm going to go with number 4, Embolden. Four-wheel drive, maybe he's the real deal. Maybe Embolden's been beating up on lesser company, but purely by looks. And 2, with the warm-up, you got a nice solo warm-up with Joel Rosario. And Mike Faber, his owner's right. He just floats over the ground, no matter if it was the dirt in the warm-up or over the turf, as we've seen in his races at Colonial. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Mick, tell us more about what she was talking about with that bit.
Well, Houghton bit, it's a little bit more of a severe bit that gives you more control, and it's for horses that have a tendency to lug in or out, and it basically has a straight bar that comes underneath their jaw so that it doesn't slide through their mouth like some other bits, and it kind of puts pressure on the right parts of the mouth that keeps control. You only put it on horses that do have a habit of either lugging in or lugging out or are difficult to handle. It's like power steering.
Could use that for some of our analysts on set. Not naming names.
Right.
Jack and Noah,
we're gonna
why are you looking at me?
We're going to really go. Things are going
didn't
to heat
say
up
any
around
names.
here, Wolf.
Jack and Noah, word was out first time out. This horse, there was a story behind him. He could run.
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting. It's the same connections as Got Stormy. Came back a week after winning the De La Rose. 7 months, and I imagine between Mark Cassidy and Gary Barber, the owner, probably her name came up when they were saying, should we come back in a short period of time and take a shot in here?
Yeah, the only difference is that, again, I go back to foundation. You know, Got Stormy had races before that, previous to that, that gives the horse foundation that they can rebound quickly.
I didn't say it was going to work.
No, I know. But honestly, a young
Get your hands off
horse,
me.
I believe it could be a little bit more difficult for them.
I agree. I would not bet this horse back off of that. I think the one thing that could be in Jack and Noah's favor is there's a potential for this pace to get pretty hot.
Yes.
And he is not going to be on the pace. So if the pace gets hot and the race starts falling apart, he could find himself in a very advantageous position. Other than that, I'll be surprised if he wins.
So as you look at this board, are you still with me? The biggest surprise on the board remains Another Miracle?
Yeah, I think Another Miracle, you know, and I'm not trying to be too hard on Gary Contessa, but you're talking about a barn that's almost over 40 at the meet, and they're coming off a weak Saratoga. But people should remember, 2 of the 3 wins that the Contessa barn had in Saratoga were Another Miracle.
Yeah.
So if you think the barn's not going well, it didn't affect Another Miracle. And I think if you're talking about a barn that was doing very well, he'd be short, because this is a crazy price, because that last race was terrific.
I think that's a crazy price, 9-2. He's a very good horse. And I honestly think Tomato Bill at 10-1 is an
He's a guess, though, because he's got to probably improve on the turf to win it.
Fair enough.
That's what worries me about him. Like, let me put it this way. Is he really? I mean, I think that the 5, Another Miracle, and I'm not saying Tomato Bill can't win, but I think the 5 is more than twice as likely to win this race, yet he's half the price.
Good point.
9-2 has to be value on that horse.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's Embolden, the Virginia bred.
Listen, I have a lot of respect for Mike Stidham. That 2-year-old has ran well yesterday. We'll see, a different horse, but competition's tougher, but there's nothing wrong with the races horses run, and the horses ran against seem to be relatively, make this horse's figs legitimate.
Stepping into the gate next, but the 6-5 favorite, 4-wheel drive. Wesley Ward was a heavy favorite against multiple winners in his debut in stakes competition at Colonial.
I hate that that race was hand-timed. I'm not saying the time is wrong. I just wish you had fractions. In this day and age in America, it's not fair to players to not have fractions and have some idea.
It's extremely important information.
Yeah, it really is. And it's something that we expect and we deserve as players. And that's an unfortunate situation.
There he is, the son of Triple Crown champ. American Pharoah moves in line. There's another American Pharoah. Let's send it upstairs. It is the Grade 3 Futurity. Here's the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Jack and Noah is last to load here. Goes in, and they're all in line. They're off in the Futurity. And it is 4-wheel drive out for the lead. Another Miracle broke well. Jack and Noah, though, sent hard on the outside, and Jack and Noah wants the front and will take early command here. Flying along and opening up a 2-length lead. 4-wheel drive will sit second by 3, then Another Miracle side by side with Freewheeler, and another 2 lengths more back to Tomato Bill and Embolden. It is Jack and Noah winging through a 21.62 initial quarter and leading it by 2.5. 4-wheel drive sits in second position and goes well at this stage. 3 clear of Another Miracle in third. Freewheeler is fourth. Embolden on the outside. Tomato Bill is 6 lengths behind this freewheeling front runner Jack and Noah, who has a 2-length lead as they come to the top of the stretch. 4-wheel drive still under a hand ride. Now sidles up alongside and moves on by as they come to the 8th pole. Then Another Miracle. Embolden on the far outside is next. It is 4-wheel drive on top, drifting out through the stretch, but well clear of the field. 4-wheel drive and Around Ortiz will come home on top in the Futurity, winning it by 4 lengths in the end, as Freewheeler came on for second, then a photo between Embolden and Jack and Noah.
4-wheel drive gets it done. Wesley Ward, Irad Ortiz Jr., this is a talented son of the Triple Crown champ.
Yeah, he even overcame the looking over your shoulder, which rarely seems to work. And Irad was right. He had a lot of horse. And we thought there was a ton of pace. The 6, Jack and Noah, would be the closer. Well, he went to lead in a wildly fast pace. But 4-wheel drive, he was a dominant winner.
He was the dominant winner. He looked the winner around the turn. He was sitting on him quietly, kind of a little bit of cover from Jack and Noah. Jack and Noah looked like he just kind of ran off, maybe kind of got too excited running back so quickly. But, boy, American Pharoah, as great a racehorse as he was, he's turning out to be a heck of a sire.
And these turf horses just keep running. And I mean, judging from this race, I got to think he's one of the favorites going out to California to run the Breeders' Cup. Doesn't feel like 5 furlongs is going to be a problem for him, right?
No, it does not. Yeah, this horse is talented. And American Pharoah, becoming a better turf sire early on.
Yeah, it appears so, doesn't it?
Pioneer of the Nile. I mean, it's not surprising there's some turf pedigree, but it does seem like it's good for him that there's plenty of good turf races.
And Jack and Noah, wow, just zips to the front. This was unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, he broke okay in about 4 or 5 strides. He kind of grabbed a bit, and he just takes off with rider Jose Lascano. And Ira Ortiz, looked over, said, okay, he's running off. I'm not going to engage. I'm going to back off. Looked like they were throwing some of the turf up a little bit. Like maybe there was some give in the ground, and maybe the aptly named 4-wheel drive. He certainly got a good foot over it.
This horse ran. I mean, because the other, when Ira looked over his shoulder, the field started gaining on him, and as soon as he asked, he just ran away from it in a split second.
2 starts, 2 stakes wins, including a graded stake now, 4-wheel drive. Yeah, you would have to think on to that Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Yeah, this horse is okay.
Son of American Pharoah for Breeze Easy, Wesley Ward, Ira Ortiz Jr., 4-5 with the victory. Up next, it's the Grade 1 Flower Bowl and Sister Charlie. Looking to win a 6th straight Grade 1, as you see. Ticket punch to the Breeders' Cup for 4-wheel drive. We'll be back.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf, and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
I think the WIN program is a very positive and important thing for breeders, because if the stud farm supports the breeders that support their stallions, that's an important thing to me. I want to know that the stud farm also has the breeder's interest in their mind. This year we had a mare that we wanted to breed to a stallion that we thought might be a little bit over her budget, but when we realized that we had the WIN awards for our business plan, it worked perfectly into getting that mare to that stallion at WinStar.
Back on America's Day at the Races. And 4-wheel drive. 2 stakes victories and 2 starts for Wesley Ward. And you would have to think it is on to the Breeders' Cup. Ticket punched here with this win.
You'd have to think so. And interesting looking at it. I remember this horse selling 2 summers ago. Not last summer, the summer before, obviously, in Saratoga at the Fasig-Tipton sale. And he looks most like American Pharoah. Most of American Pharoah's offspring, they're all kind of different shapes, sizes, colors. This one's the one that most looks like him.
And I have a question. I've seen the dam's name in a good horse's pedigree. I didn't look it up. Can you remember? This is a have to. Maggie will probably know.
I don't remember, but I do remember.
Yeah, I've seen Funfair somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, impressive performance. Crowded winner circle there. I guess you get the hats as well when you win this race. The Breeders' Cup winning your race.
That's why you want to win. It's not the money. It's not the Breeders'. It's the hats.
$3.90 for the win. Final time, 1:08 for the 6 furlongs. Again, it's 5 furlongs, right? The Breeders' Cup.
Yes.
Juvenile Turf Sprint.
Well, that's what you told us yesterday, so
Right.
I'm going to trust you.
No, I did. I looked it up. Look at that pick 3, by the way. $900.
Yeah, and that's the start, of course, to the Empire 6. And in a competitive race, they knew this horse was going to win.
They did indeed, as we send it downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
To be joined here by winning co-owner Mike Hall of Breeze Easy LLC. And Mike, this is quite a thrilling victory for you, and you're on to the Breeders' Cup.
Yes, it was a big day for us. We've stumbled the last couple of days. We've had some horses not run so well, and four-wheel drive pulled through it for us. And we had a lot of faith in him, but he'd only run once before. Wasn't sure what would happen today. You know, we know the Green family had a nice horse in the race also, and I thought they might run better than they did. I thought they would maybe win. So, but we won, and I'm really proud of it. So we'll go forward and see what happens. We're headed to the Breeders' Cup.
There you go. Isn't it incredible, this game? You can be low one day and high the next.
You can be low a lot of days. It's tough. It's a tough game, but the highs are overcome the lows, it seems like. So we struggled whether we would even come today because we had such a bad day yesterday, but got up, come this morning, because I thought I had a lot of faith in this horse.
Well, that's a spirit, absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your partnership, Breeze Easy, you buying some nice horses.
Well, I have a partner, Sam Ross, and we've been partners for going on 4 years, I guess. We've been in the business, and we've had a little bit of success. We've been through some learning curves, and we're into breeding and brood mares and raising a lot of our own horses now. We're going to back out of buying so many at the sales probably and breed our own and try to make it that way. This horse we did buy at Saratoga. We all loved him. There was a group of us that made the decision to buy him, and it really worked out good.
That it did. Is that a Texas twang I'm hearing?
I wish it was. I hate to tell you, I'm a West Virginia boy.
Oh, wow, a little closer to my home than I should have known. Geez, I didn't even spot the West Virginia pin. Well, Mike, congratulations and best of luck out in California with four-wheel drive.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, four-wheel drive stamped his ticket to the Breeders' Cup off to California.
I'm not sure he's not the favorite for that race.
I mean, we'll see what Euros show up, but I got to say, this is a competitive race, and he buried this field. This was hard to say he's not going to be. I still think that horse ran yesterday was pretty good, but we'll see. The filly.
Yeah.
But this horse might be better.
I'm not crazy about the configuration of the 5 furlongs at Santa Anita and breaking on the dirt. Because you get sprinters, and the ground tends to break away from, horses sprinting more than they do going long.
Here is Sister Charlie, 5 consecutive starts, all in Grade 1 company, all victories dating back to last year's Diana, which of course she repeated in this year. She repeated in the Beverly D, trying to repeat in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, but first stop is the Flower Bowl.
And this will be the first time she's run in this race. They did not run her last year. They went right for the Beverly D, the Filly and Mare Turf, and you're just blessed to get to see horses like this run. She is one of the best horses in the country.
Yeah. Without question, just an absolute superstar. And Chad Brown said, look, one of the best horses he's ever had in his barn, too.
No, she's been remarkable. You know, she ran a decent second New Money Honey when she just came over from Europe. I mean, she had only run, 20 days earlier in the French Oaks, and then they gave her the break, and she's been absolutely brilliant. She only has that one narrow defeat to 4-star Crook.
It's just incredible. And you saw the way she's walking over, how classy she is. You know, when they've got that kind of talent and then they've got that air about them. I mean, she's walking there like she owns the place, and that's what good horses do.
Yeah, and it's cool to think that her half-brother finished 3rd in the Arc earlier today at Longchamp. So there's a lot of good horses in that family. For Peter Brand as well, the owner.
All right, Flower Bowl, Grade 1 coming up as Sister Charlie. She's looking to go back-to-back in the Breeders' Cup Filly in Mare Turf. Of course, one of her stablemates looked pretty impressive in the First Lady. Stamped a ticket to the Breeders' Cup as well, but it maybe going to a different race instead to tackle the boys.
Yeah, I mean, the way she ran, you would think you'd want to run her in the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile because she ran 7/5 faster than the boys. And it feels like she and Get Stormy are two of the better horses going to that. Now, Chad Brown also has Bricks and Mortar that he pretty much feels like he's saying he's going to run in the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile.
Right.
She's not nominated, so they'd have to put up, I think, probably a couple $100,000 to run. It's a lot of money to put up, but
they want it.
A lot of money to put up, but man, the way she finished
No,
in the
no,
turn of foot,
I get it.
certainly would lead me to want to do it. I mean, she
I've
was
gone to the West
impressive.
Coast before and run lights out. That was at Del Mar.
You know, Richie, you're friendly with Michael Dubb. You might want to talk to him, maybe put up a little bit of it and have a little piece of the action.
A piece of the action.
Ready to gamble.
I'd want 10% if I could ride her.
You're not riding her. You'd have to put up double. And I don't think your wife will allow that either.
Well, she earned a ticket to the Breeders' Cup Finale Mare Turf, but yeah, we all seem to think Mile might be the spot where we're going to see her.
Chad Brown's not right at a mile and a quarter. I didn't ask him, but I would be shocked if that happened.
Sister Charlie coming up next, trying to win a 6th consecutive Grade 1. What a run she has been on. She is a superstar. The Grade 1 Flower Bowl when we come back on America's Day at the Races.
Coming on strong.
Minute to stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing, 1, 2. The Star Guitar Filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing, 1, 2.
Feel my love for you. Coming on strong.
Tom Durkin letting you know New York breds start with an advantage. At the sales, buyers pay up to 7 figures. And there's over $2 million in stakes money limited to New York sired horses in the New York Stallion Stakes Series, like the Park Avenue for 3-year-old fillies.
Newly minted wins it for fun.
For fun and money. The winner's share generates an additional $55,000 from the New York Breeding Fund.
Funny Guy's gonna do it.
Funny Guys winning the Times Square division generates the same money. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
Run Happy was a really nice racehorse. The biggest attribute that I see about him is the way he stamps his foals. You know, they got big, pretty walks on them. They got good hips and shoulders. Very pretty to look at. And, you know, the real strong hind leg. You know, everything that you're looking for as a racehorse. You know, that's what impresses me.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
And here's Sister Charlie's run to the lead. It's Sister Charlie and Johnny Velasquez.
They're coming down to the line. Oh! Sister Charlie may have nailed Ultra Breath the last ride of the Diana. The three of them coming down to the line, and it is Sister Charlie. It's Sister Charlie rushing Paul and Omerique, and it's going to be Sister Charlie and the Diana.
Sister Charlie, sensational, history made, the first 2-time and repeat winner of the Beverly D, Sister Charlie.
What an incredible run Sister Charlie has been on. 5 straight Grade 1 wins, started in last year's Diana, the Beverly D, Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf, repeat in the Diana Beverly D, and now trying the Flower Bowl for the first time to make it 6 Grade 1s in a row.
What's remarkable to me is how many of Chad Brown's horses hold their form seemingly forever. You know, a lot of good horses have an off day or they throw in a clinker here and there. It doesn't seem like Chad Brown's horses do. They hit a form cycle and they hold it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And she's the definition of a good horse. She shows up every single time. And I think using her stablemate Thais as a rabbit has given her a chance to really show what she can do. So she's not victimized by pace. And keep in mind, the rabbit doesn't hurt the others and only help her. It just makes for a fairer race.
Well, you see it a lot in Europe. They use what they call pacemakers. We call them rabbits, they call them pacemakers. You just want a truly run race, and that ensures that there's enough speed that it is a truly run race.
He's had success in this race before. Chad Brown looking for number 6 himself in this race.
Did you remember Stephanie's Kitten won this twice? I did not.
I didn't either.
4-star Crook won it, who of course had a victory over Sister Charlie in the Grade 2 New York a year ago at Belmont.
Yeah, and Chad Brown ran 1-2 in this race last year. I believe a horse from Marty Schwartz, who owned Stasalita, finished second, 4-stars Crook last year.
Let's head downstairs, get a Paddock report with Maggie Wolfendale.
Well, Greg, actually I was going to talk about a bit of an upset that we saw earlier, as we are unlikely to see one here for this Flower Bowl, but earlier today in France at Longchamp, we saw the Prix de l'Arc Triomphe Enable, the great mare going for her 3rd win would not come true. Boy, she gave us so many thrills throughout these few years, and she lost nothing in defeat, but Waldgeist really had the best turn of foot late over the soft going. And as John Gosden, the trainer of Enable, said, well, she just doesn't have that brilliant turn of foot over the soft going as she does over a little bit of a firmer course, and she was the one setting those steady kind of fractions where she ran the steady 12s and then came home that last furlong in 13. Waldgeist was able to run a bit slower earlier on and then close in that final furlong with a 12 and change. So there, the race was over, and Andre Fabre, he picks up his 8th Arc de la Triomphe, and what a master he is, that's for sure. But Enable, she, as I said, she lost nothing in defeat. Her fans cheered her in the paddock, out on the racetrack in the warm-up, and when she went home as well. So both horses, though, options still open. Owners and trainers trying to decide, will they come for the Breeders' Cup Turf? We'll be waiting on the edge of our seats if either of them decides to come. Now, also for the 3-year-old fillies at Longchamp today in the Prix de l'Opera, we saw Villa Marina and Olivia Pellier, a bit of an upset as she turned back in distance, and the Vermeil, the kind of prep race for this at 1.5 miles, proved to be a little bit too far for her, but the 1.25 miles fit her beautifully, and she also had won the Prix de Sichet earlier this year, which also could be a key race. But boy, guys, it wasn't quite the billing that it was last year, as we had Wild Illusion and Magic Wand, and both of them coming over for the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf, in which they faced, well, Sister Charlie, who I'm facing right now here in the paddock. As this year, as a 5-year-old, I think she looks better than ever. Maybe a filly that in the past had struggled to kind of maintain her weight, and as I've said time and time again, horses reach their physical peak at 5 years old. That's why you see that transition from filly to mare or colt to horse, because that's when they're physically mature, and she surely possesses it here. And boy, is she confident. I really think this year as a 5-year-old, and well done to Chad Brown and Peter Brandt for keeping her in training, because I think this is, physically at least, her best year yet, coming off the back of that win in the Beverly D. Now, Grand Motion will try once again to take down Chad Brown in here, but his chances might be a little bit futile, though I have a lot of respect for the horse that won the Glens Falls last time out in number 3, Mississippi. What a cleverly named mare, as well, as she is wearing that hood again.
here in the paddock. She wore it last time. It really seems to keep her nice and calm. She was calm pre-race. She was calm after the race when I rode up and interviewed her, because I would assume that she had never experienced anything like that, 2 ponies on either side of her. But she's very classy acting, and I think she's actually improved from that Glens Falls effort in that, you know, last time she kind of got a little bit girthy here in the paddock, and today she's really striding out nicely. Her coat and her weight looks as though it's improved. So like I said, I think it's going to be very tough to take down Sister Charlie, but as the board would suggest, Mississippi might prove to be a fairly good rival. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Yeah, 9-1 here. State's debut, grade 2 win in the Glens Falls at Saratoga. Here's a look at that performance.
This was an excellent ride. I believe it was Joel Rosario riding her. Really a terrific ride, because he got that position in the backstretch, Richie. And you were saying how she kind of took the position away from the runner-up.
Yeah, Empress of the Nile, the one horse, was in that pocket position, kind of eased back to get to the clear, and Joel kind of got up in there and took that spot. And I'm of the opinion that Empress of the Nile switched the trips and she wins last time.
And Empress Nile really seems to be improving. She'd always shown some flashes, but she's really run better in her recent efforts, and she's improving for Graham Motion. But the reality is, and I don't think we're telling anybody that anything they don't know, they're only going to win this race in all likelihood if Sister Charlie doesn't show up. And Sister Charlie, all she does is show up. I mean,
she has never not shown up.
Right. You don't want to concede races to horses, but Sister Charlie is just so much better than these horses. I mean, she's not a length or two better than them. She's 6 lengths better than them, and maybe more.
This would probably be the biggest upset of the year in the sport. No?
You know, it's an interesting point, but in a major race, because you know, I mean, you could say there probably was a 1-20 shot that lost somewhere, maybe. But in a stake race, I can't think of a bigger one. Can you?
I couldn't. I mean, I would be frankly shocked if she didn't win.
Yeah, I mean, barring an incident, you know, she gets in some sort of trouble or something. Even in trouble, she's supposed to beat these horses. You know, I like to bet, and I'm not the only one on this desk that likes to bet, but we're also fans of the game. And this is a moment where I want to appreciate, you know, legitimate greatness, you know. I don't use that word loosely, but what she's done in her career has been nothing short of great.
Yeah.
Here comes our post parade. We start off with Ferdinanda for trainer Barkley Tag, Junior Alvarado aboard the Daughter Giants Causeway.
Barkley Tag had a big win here yesterday. We'll see if Ferdinanda can get a piece of the action today.
That was Tis the Law in the Champagne. Sister Charlie, 5 consecutive grade 1 wins. Trying to get her first win, though, at Belmont in start number 3.
She's just classy, extremely talented, and she looks the picture on the racetrack.
Mississippi, Graham Motion, as we showed you, won the Glens Falls at Saratoga in her state's debut.
Graham Motion is terrific. He's as good a trainer with these Europeans as you'll find. She'll obviously have to step forward as she cuts back in distance for today's race.
Daughter of Blame, who had one of the biggest upsets in the history of the sport, beating Zenyatta.
I feel like Empress of the Nile is probably the most likely runner-up here. I just thought she had a tough trip last time.
That's your cold number? 2-4 here, Rich?
Cold, that's it, 2-4.
Graham Motion as well. Irad Ortiz Jr. Here's the 5, Thais, the pace setter for the stablemate, Sister Charlie.
She is the rabbit for Sister Charlie. She's also a pretty talented horse in her own right. There's an argument that she could be as talented as anybody else in the field, but she's going to likely be winging out front.
Lantiz, Rudolph Brissett, and Kendra Carmouche.
This is one of those situations where you ride to try to be third because grade 1 placing would be huge for her pedigree.
And she's improving with distance. I mean, she had a much better horse the farther they go.
Yeah.
Bo Bell, Tom Abertrani trying to win 3 in a row. It's a massive step up in class.
A long time to break her maiden, right? But now she's won 2 straight races. But I agree, she's taken on the big girls today.
15 starts it took to break through, and we're going to check downstairs once again. Graham Motion sending out a pair in this race. Let's go to Maggie again.
As he is checking them out on the tracker, maybe checking out the odds. I think he had the binoculars on the big screen there, Graham. As Mississippi, her stateside debut for you was a winning one in taking that Glens Falls. Talk about kind of the lead up to that race and how she's emerged out of it into this Flower Bowl.
Yeah, she's done well. I mean, look, I'd like to think she's going to have to move forward from that race to run against Sister Charlie today. So she's done well. She's had a good couple of weeks, and this seemed like a logical spot to come to.
Now also a runner-up in that Glens Falls is Empress of the Nile, and a horse that you seem to have really kind of brought to life this year. She seems as though she's reached that potential that she always seemed to have.
Yeah, she looks great. I mean, she's trained really well. They've kind of trained together on and off, these guys. You know, she was a little unlucky, I thought, in the Glens Falls. She didn't have a perfect trip, so, you know, hopefully they're both going to be competitive, but it's going to be tough to beat the favorite.
How do you beat the favorite?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing going our way is the only time she has been beaten was going 1.25 miles here at Belmont, but, you know, she's just keeps improving. She's an exceptional filly.
And it's that rivalry where turning the tables on Chad Brown in these graded stakes with the turf fillies and mares. It seems to be an ongoing affair, though you did do it in that Glens Falls.
Yeah, it's tough to do, but you got to keep trying.
I love your perseverance, Graham. Well, best of luck here, and thanks for talking to us.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Graham Motion, always a class act as he does send out the 2. And I agree with what you said, Meg, and that Empress of the Night loved going into that race, and she did have a bit of a trouble trip. We'll see if she can get a clean one here.
So, and he alluded to it, Graham, 2 defeats at Belmont for Sister Charlie. Is Belmont her kryptonite? Both those defeats, by the way, to stablemates.
Well, in fairness, I mean, as we said, her Belmont Oaks was the only race she ran in this country as a 3-year-old, and she was just 20 days after finishing second in the French Oaks, the Prix Diane. And then she didn't run again for, what, 9 months or 8 months or whatever. And then she lost to Forster's Crook in a very oddly run race. Where there was a horse that just ran off in the front, and I think Johnny kind of blamed himself a bit for that one. Got caught in a little bit of traffic, I think.
And I misspoke. I meant to say, when I said with blame, scoring one of the biggest, I meant one of the longest streaks. So Zenyatta had won.
Right.
I thought it would have been an upset if Zenyatta beat Blame. So,
but,
I mean, I just.
So, but ended one of the great streaks in the history of our sport. So now a daughter of Blame trying to end another big streak here of Mare's won 5 straight grade 1s.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting when you look at Sister Charlie, comparing her. I mean, you have to some ways compare with Lady Eli, right? Mm-hmm. And Lady Eli is always going to be a special horse because of what she overcame and the involvement, what she did, and the miraculous recovery. Not only that, because she obviously really could have died. Yeah. And to survive and then come back and be, if not as good, better.
At that level.
Yeah, it was nothing short of remarkable. But from a talent standpoint, sorry, Greg.
No, finish up.
I'm just going to say, Sister Charlie, I think if they ran together, Sister Charlie would probably beat her.
Yeah. Chad Brown's done some great work with her. He's had to stop and start with her a little bit. She had, I believe, a spider bite that set her back for a little bit, kicked herself in the stall that set her back for a little bit. So he's had to overcome some issues with her, too.
Well, and that's the thing that people don't understand. Like, there's so many odd little things that can go wrong. And horses in general are hard on themselves. Even horses out in the pasture, they tend to do things and you go, what did you just do? You know, and they injure themselves. So the fact, again, I go back to this, that his horses can, you know, hold their form. He doesn't lead them over unless they're 110% right. And I love the way she warmed up here, left the pony with Johnny Velasquez. She just looks as classy as a mare as I've ever seen.
Well, it's, you know, it's a misnomer. You were saying that people would say horses get hurt racing. They don't.
No, they get
hurt
more
doing stupid things
in the
fields,
stall, in the field. And, yeah.
You know, Nick Zito would say to me, I remember somebody skipping a race with a horse, and Nick Zito said to me, and Nick's won his share of big races. He said, well, you can run them, or you can just wait for them to get hurt in their stall.
There you go.
And, you know, that's what, no matter how good care of you come in the morning for trainers every day, and they're thinking, what awaits me today?
Holding your breath.
And I remember Chad Brown was really not confident he was necessarily going to make the Diana with her. And I think she worked really well coming up to the race and said, okay, she's back. But, you know, that was just a few months ago.
And she looks tremendous in the mornings right now. Watching her work, she couldn't look any better. And just getting back on that theme, I've stood there in my back paddock and watched the horse rear up and get his foot caught on top of the fence, all on his own. He has 3 acres to rear up, but he rears up next to the fence, gets his foot caught on the fence. He's hung up there. If I'm not home, he probably really does a lot of damage. I had to get a sledgehammer and knock the board out so he could fall to the ground because he couldn't extricate himself.
Do you have any video footage of this?
No, it was ugly.
I'd like some video footage of that.
I was trying to rock him off the fence thinking this is kind of dumb because he's probably going to fall on me.
So the things that can happen, and things have happened with Sister Charlie, but Chad Brown has done a masterful job keeping her sound, keeping her race ready, and keeping this streak alive with her.
And knowing Peter Brandt and how much he loves racing and loves the game. Unfortunately, he's not here because he was in Paris for the ARC today, and he's running not only Sister Charlie, but they have Dunbar Road going in about an hour at Keeneland, almost exactly an hour
Against
from now
the
at
late.
Keeneland against the late, and an exciting running of the Spinster. And I think that the Tattersall sale starts tomorrow, but he's not here for them. But I wonder if they'll be keeping her in training to run next year.
It's so much fun that Peter Brandt's back in the game. You know, us as fans, late 70s, early 80s, he was such a dominant force. Horses like Weya and Just a Game, and you know, so many, right? Gulch. And
I spent a lot of time talking to Peter about those horses. I mean, I feel like I talked to him for hours on end about those horses.
But when he started getting back in the game, he said, "Oh yeah, I just want to get back in and do it a smaller scale." I think he's twice as big as he was when he was starting.
Chad said he was going to buy a few horses, and Chad said to me, I had a feeling he probably would buy more than a few.
my question: why'd they slum it in the Grade 2 New York? It's the only race that's not a Grade 1 that Sister Charlie is
really
running in the U.S.
Be a Grade 1. I mean, they won it this year with Homerique as well.
Oh yeah. Trying to make it 6 straight. Grade 1 wins, 1-5. Sister Charlie from Post 2. She is an absolute superstar, and regardless of what happens here, it is on to defend her championship at the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf next stop. Can she make it 6 straight Grade 1 wins before she does? Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call. Here's Larry Colmus.
Just 3 left to go into the starting gate here. Thais, the stablemate of Sister Charlie, takes her spot in line. Here's Lantiz, and Bo Bell will be the last one. They're all in line. They're off in the Flower Bowl, and Thais, as expected, straight out to the front, opening up 2.5 on Lantiz and Bo Bell on the outside. Sister Charlie will tuck back in 4th as they race for that first turn. She's about 10 lengths off of her stablemate. Then Empress of the Nile, Mississippi, and Ferdinanda. So Thais out there winging, opening up on the competition early, and running by a 24.21 quarter. She's out there by about 8 lengths over Lantiz. Then Bo Bell, John Velasquez, and the champion Sister Charlie will sit 4th as they head to the backstretch, and she's now about 13 lengths behind. Then Ferdinanda, Empress of the Nile, and last of them all, and on hold is Mississippi. So it is Thais doing her thing on a 12-length lead here as they head up the backstretch. Her half mile was 49.17 seconds, so that's not all that fast, but she's a good 12 in front. And then it's Lantiz running in second. Bo Bell is 3rd, and now John Velasquez has brought Sister Charlie outside of Bo Bell, still about 13 behind or so. And then Empress of the Nile, Ferdinanda, and Mississippi. Thais still on top, the lead down to 7 lengths as they make their way into the far turn. Lantiz 2nd. Sister Charlie is outside of Bo Bell after 3 quarters in 1:15.31. And then Mississippi, who's saving ground on the turn. She's 7 lengths behind as the pack starts to get a bit closer now. Then Empress of the Nile and Ferdinanda. It is Thais by 4 as they make their way to the top of the stretch. John Velasquez and Sister Charlie are making their move now on the outside of Lantiz. They're up into 2nd and setting their sights on Thais with a furlong to run, and Mississippi's right behind her. It is Thais clinging to the lead. Sister Charlie runs up alongside of her. Mississippi runs well down the center. It is Sister Charlie, Mississippi, 1-2 down to the wire. Sister Charlie, the definition of class, takes the Flower Bowl over Mississippi, and then it was Thais and Lantiz.
Sister Charlie, give her 6 straight Grade 1 victories. John Velasquez has been aboard for them all as you take a look at Chad Brown on to the Breeders' Cup.
And John Velasquez was just trying to time it perfectly, and they came home in under 23 seconds here. She's a wonderful horse and a sight to behold. And let's give some love to Mississippi, too. Ran well to be 2nd.
Mississippi did not break very well out of the gate. Now, I don't think she's ever getting by Sister Charlie under any circumstances. She hit the front and looked like she was waiting for her, and whenever she felt a little pressure, she went on again. she's fun to watch. She's a throwback to the kind of horses that made me fall in love with the game.
No, I agree. You know, you just want to appreciate the truly good horses, and this is more than just a good horse. This is a great talent out there. It's just she just shows up and runs well every time. And Thais, the rabbit, I don't know. All these times seem a little weird. Was she really just going that slowly?
It didn't appear that way. You know, visually it didn't appear that way, but I will have to get some confirmation about it. But, you know, one thing, like Johnny allowed her to get into position a little earlier than normal. You're on the best horse. You don't want to take chances getting caught up in traffic. He's going to move his hands a little bit right there, kind of tested what he had. And he went, oh, I'm getting there a little quicker than I wanted. He kind of throttled her again. It's like driving a car, like a really good car, when you're on one of these kind of horses.
Well, you know, it's hard because, right, the ideal trip is to sort of wait covered up and get a chance to make that explosion. And you're not going to get that explosion when you get yourself out of traffic. But I think Chad and John Velasquez would both be in the same position, which is I'd rather she's out in the clear and not going to get any trouble and don't get beat because you gotten in trouble. But it takes away maybe a burst, right?
And you see when she hit the front or inside ear going back and forth. That's always, to me, a barometer that a horse has more in the tank than just kind of getting there and they're goofing off a little bit. Absolutely. You do not want to take chances in a situation like this when you are decidedly best.
Yeah, and she is.
His arsenal of superstars, and this is one of the best of them. Sister Charlie for Chad Brown. 6th consecutive Grade 1 win, and moving on to try and defend her title now in the Breeders' Cup, Filly and Mer Turf. What do you think about her chances in that race to go back-to-back?
I mean, I got to think she's much the horse to beat right now. You know, we'll see what Euros are coming over here, and you always want to take a look at them, but it doesn't seem like she's lost a step. If anything, she's as good as she has ever been.
She may have taken a step forward. Horses don't mature fully till the age of 5. She's a 5-year-old mare who looks like she's enjoying the game just as much as ever. I think the one disappointment out of this race, I thought that the 4 Empress of the Nile would run a bit better.
Yeah, she ran last. Something happened with her. She didn't show up and run a race at all.
The phenomenal Sister Charlie, what a story she has been. 6 straight Grade 1 wins, 10 for 14 lifetime now for owner Peter Brandt, trained by Chad Brown with John Velasquez aboard. She'll go on to defend her title next in the Breeders' Cup. We'll be back, stay tuned.
Run Happy, you know, he's 16-2, he's a beautiful horse. There's stamina on top and bottom, and he's stamping his horses with that. I think they look big and fast, and like horses that'll go on and run a distance as well as short.
He was a fantastic racehorse, and if he passes on his ability as a racehorse, I think he's a slam dunk to be a great sire. Very athletic looking and beautiful bodied horse as well.
Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
That time at Oaklawn, win a home run. Made for a big night. Bet on your favorite teams at Oaklawn's new race and sports book. Oaklawn, a new level of action, a new level of excitement.
The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Eclipse champion Blaine was considered by many as the breakout stallion of 2018. His top runners included Grade 1 winner and Eclipse Award finalist Marley's Freedom, plus Grade 1 winner Fault, and graded stakes winners Moreau, Beyond Blaine, Miss Kentucky, and Blaine. This year, his 2-year-olds have sold up to $700,000. Outstanding results, outstanding value. Blaine, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the races, and this is one of the true superstars in our game right now. We're going to get to see her at least one more time in the Breeders' Cup Filly in Mer Turf when she tries to defend her title out west.
And I think this underscores how important it is for horses to hang around and race for multiple seasons. Here she is, a 5-year-old mare. It gives people an opportunity to become fans. She creates a fan base. You look forward to seeing her compete. And I wish more people would follow that lead and run their horses later into their 4- and 5-year-old seasons.
Silks of Peter Brandt, trained by Chad Brown, Hall of Famer John Velasquez in the irons. And she is just so sensational. We don't get to see runners this consistent, this great run at this level so consistently as we've seen with Sister Charlie. Let's go downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And here in the winner's circle with Chad Brown, his sister Charlie gets her 6th grade 1 in a row. Chad, that is something remarkable.
It is, you know, she's we've never had that before in our barn, and you know, I think she's going down as being one of the greats.
Chad, this year as a 5-year-old, the argument could be made that is she better this year than she was in the previous years?
I can tell you she's as good as she's ever been. You know, she had such a great year last year. It's hard to compare, but like I said, she's been as good as she's been ever for us in the mornings and afternoons.
And I heard Johnny say that she was a little bit more on the bridle today. And the pace actually, even though Thais did her job, wasn't quite as fast. Is that something that you think she kind of had to overcome today?
A little bit. I can't. She got a great trip, though. And like you said, it's probably why she was on the bit a little bit. And you probably noticed in the paddock, she was just a tick sharper today, the paddock on the muscle. And she showed that in the race. But nevertheless, she showed her great kick in the stretch and held off a really nice improving horse as well. Thought the runner-up ran really well today.
At Mississippi, she certainly did, as going to the Breeders' Cup again, filly and mare turf, likely the favorite.
Yeah, I think that's where we're going. There hasn't been any discussion of any other races for her other than that. So, I'll speak to Peter about it. But for right now, we'll enjoy this and plan on the Breeders' Cup.
All right, Chad, well, congratulations. Safe trip. Hopefully you pick some future stars over at Tattersalls, too.
Thank you. I'll be taking my Advil PM here in about an hour.
I don't blame you.
Thank you.
I know how those overnight trips to Europe go. As Sister Charlie, guys, she is just something to marvel at.
Yes, she is, and Chad Brown off to reload. with more future superstars with that late flight coming up. But, wow, we could have seen very likely 2 favorites in the last hour here on the show for the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, this, to me, she is, and I don't care who they bring from Europe, she belongs, I think, and she's your likely favorite. And the American Pharaoh Coat, 4-wheel drive, but I guess a good way to try to sleep through a good portion of the flight, huh?
What a job he's done, and what a sensational mare she is. Grade 1 for Zet coming up next. Another ticket to the Breeders' Cup on the line for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies here. 1 turn mile ahead. Bob Baffert sending quality response here to the East Coast. She is 2 for 2 and now tries to go beyond 6.5 furlongs for the first time with quality response.
I think it's a big step, too. It's a furlong and a half longer. It's on a deeper, more sandy type of racetrack. She's got a tough post. You're breaking right on the corner of the chute there. A lot of empty space for a young horse. I think there's questions that make her vulnerable.
Wicked Whisper, Steve Asmussen. She was a morning line favorite, though, in this race, and she broke like a shot in that debut. She won by 6+ lengths.
Yeah, so she's got speed. You know that's a good thing. She gets Joe Rosario. But, again, another one taking a big step from maidens going 6 to a mile in a grade 1. A lot of questions there as well, but obviously she's talented.
Well, Miss Marissa, she faced 2 starts back. British Idiom on Friday in the Alcibiades, winning urine as well for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. She was absolutely dominant.
Dominant, and that bodes well for Miss Marissa, who's got a lot of foundation. This is her 5th start now going a mile, and she's already raced the mile distance, actually a mile to 16th on turf, as well as a mile on the dirt. And she's faced quality company, evidenced by this.
What a performance. Yeah, British Idiom just ran away with this race. 6+ length score to punch her ticket to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. Emphatic victory. And these youngsters improved so much from start to start as 2-year-olds, but certainly British Idiom took a massive move forward.
Well, they do change a lot. You think about children, who the best athlete starting middle school is not necessarily the best athlete coming out of middle school. Who the best athlete is starting high school is not necessarily the best athlete coming out of high school. They're developing, they're changing, they're growing. Mentally and physically they're developing. So I really like horses with foundation. I think it gives the 6 here, Miss Marissa, a big look because of the 5 races that she's had, 4 races. This will be her 5th start coming into this. And the fact that she's continually gotten better from a trainer, Jimmy Ryerson, who races his horses into condition more than he trains them into condition.
One more ticket to be punched here at Belmont for the Breeders' Cup, and it's coming up next in the Grade 1 Frisette with a purse of $400,000. 2-year-old fillies in a 1-turn mile. And there's Wicked Whisper, daughter of Liam's Map. She was favored in her debut for trainer Steve Asmussen. He had said he was as confident in her as he was in Gazilla, who was a short price favorite, who won impressively first time out. Start number 2 for Wicked Whisper coming up.
Into the final furlong of the Claiborne Breeders' Futurity, and Classic Empire wins it in style.
Here's the wire. Classic Empire. He's a champion 2-year-old.
Here's the champ, Classic Empire! Classic Empire!
We're gonna go traveling.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Whether you have Derby dreams or Midsummer Derby dreams, this is Tom Durkin to tell you a registered New York bred can take you there.
Diversify.
That New York bred Exact and the Whitney by multimillionaires Diversify and Mind Your Biscuits shows the kind of quality that allowed New York breds to earn more than $93 million on the world stage last year. On-track successes have spurred New York bred sales result. At the March OBS sale, Chestertown sold for $2 million. And this New York bred 2018 yearling brought $1 million at Saratoga. So get with the program at nybreds.com.
And the leader is Indian Blessing, who's getting farther away with every stride. Indian Blessing opens up here. Backseat Rhythm has now moved to second. Sunday Holiday is third, and the others are barely running. They're coming down to the final 16th of a mile, and here is a sparkling 2-year-old filly geared down for the final furlong. Indian Blessing has won in a romp.
Indian Blessing would go on to a 2-year-old championship season back in 2007. And one of your Frizette winners that would go on to success in the Breeders'
Is that Hal
Cup.
Earnhardt? Indian Blessing?
I think
was
you're
it Bob,
right.
Was it Bob Baffert and Hal Earnhardt?
I'm pretty sure you're right.
And
I
Hal-
looked at the colors.
Yeah, yeah. Hal Earnhardt was a car salesman in Arizona when I was growing up, Greg. I was born in Brooklyn. A lot of people always think, oh, you're raised in Brooklyn. I was born in Brooklyn, but I moved out to Arizona when I was a kid. And his slogan was, he would come out on a bull and he would say, I got an offer for you and that ain't no bull. Now, if you look at his silks now, he has no bull on the back. If you look at that backtrack or that replay, you saw the bull on the back. So Indian Blessing was some kind of mare.
Last year, of course, Jaywalk won the Frizette, would go on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Have to go back to my Miss Aurelia before that. What a list. Who will put their name on the list of Frizette winners coming into this one? It seems like a completely wide open race. There does not appear to be a standout in this race coming in. Frank's Roquette for Bill Mott has had some hard luck after a dominant debut at Churchill Downs.
Well, she gets a great post. She gets Johnny Velasquez. She has speed. My question about her is, how far does she really want to go? I'm just not convinced she wants a mile, but the outside post allows Johnny Velasquez to let her break and kind of ease into the race. He's not under the gun. He's under no pressure. Maybe he can steal an 1/8 of a mile that way.
Yeah, and here's the video of the spin away, and I'm discouraged by a couple things. And then I went back last night, and I kept looking in, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to believe this filly in. And the reason why is I'm discouraged that a horse passes you on the inside. We saw in the Omaha Beach race where it's really tough to pass on the inside, but obviously Frank's Roquette is not Chance-a-Lot. But when you get beat by 1.25 lengths or so, getting past on the inside, that worries me. Usually horses fight back. But what I do like about this horse, the outside post, like Mick said, it might be able to control this race if the 3 doesn't break.
Here is the 3 Wicked Whisper, daughter of Liam's Map. Steve Asmussen, as I mentioned before we went to break, so confident in her in that first out effort, and she ran to those expectations.
Well, she really did, too. And this is one of those races where I said, I've got to develop a rear-view mirror for jockeys. You keep watching Ricardo Santana look back. You know, when a guy's got that much horse where he's basically looking around for the competition, she's got a pretty stride. She's very efficient. She's got a pedigree that says more distance shouldn't be a problem. Big step, though.
Listen, if you want to go on Shark Tank with some goggles with a rear-view mirror, we can make it happen here. But, yeah, I mean, like, listen, she broke a tiny, not great, and then, boom, by the quarter of the mile. She had 4 lengths on this field. So quickness is not the issue. Who's going to go with her early? Can Gozillo go with her early? Do they cause a speed duel, and does it set up for somebody else?
Can't the crop just be like a selfie stick and you attach a little mirror there?
Well, everybody looks now to the infield.
Yeah, right?
Back in my day, we didn't have that, Greg.
Steve Asmussen, second start with 2-year-olds who broke their maiden in their debut on dirt in graded stakes over the last 5 years. 0 for
Tough
16.
stat to get past.
Listen, and Richie will tell you, the hardest thing in racing is to face winners for the first time.
Yeah.
Now you're going into stakes, it's a different story.
Sure. You know, you're facing a bunch of maidens. Steve is so good at having horses very well schooled, well prepared. Now the playing field's more level.
Let's head downstairs to Maggie Wolfendale.
And horses just about saddled and ready to go in the walking ring for this grade 1 Frazette, as we'll check in with a horse who's coming out the back of the maiden win, which you guys have talked extensively about, and that is number 3 in here, Wicked Whisper. As we've said, she is a half 2. Point of Honor, who is a filly, a 3-year-old filly for George Weaver, who, yes, won the Black-Eyed Susan and has been the runner-up in both the CC Oaks and the Alabama, and she just looks like one who wants to run all day. So the pedigree is there for Wicked Whisper to easily get this mile. Not good numbers for Steve, though, in his second start with the horses who broke their maiden at first asking. Physically, she looks great here. If anything, she's a little bit more tucked up here second time out. And 2, I don't think, as I alluded to, she'll have any problem with the mile. Now, number 2, Daphne Moon, is one that I certainly don't think will have any trouble going from 7 to a mile here. She's this very tall, lanky, very feminine-looking filly. And first time out, she kind of ran greenly. She behaved that way prior to the race, and today she's a lot more professional, too. I love, as I'm going by a lot of my old rules here today, fillies or mares with big ears, they're always runners, and boy, does she have a set of ears on her. So I really like Daphne Moon heading into this race for Jeremiah Engelhart. As number 7 is Frank's Rockette, and look, she's petite. She doesn't look like a mile is going to be ideal. Yes, she had some trouble going back to Adirondack. What was her excuse in the spin away? She's a little high strung here. I just don't think a mile, she's going to get better with more distance here for Bill Mott. I can't fault her any other way, and that, other than the fact that I just think sprints are more ideal. Greg?
Maggie, thanks. Frank's Rockette tackling a mile for the first time. Boy, was she brilliant in that debut at Churchill at 5 furlongs. She's been a little unlucky since. Meanwhile, Wicked Whisper, 7-2 on the board for Steve Asmussen. Frazette is next.
Rushing ball, and she's too good. She wins the Longines just again.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action, and Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
Coming on strong,
Minute to Stardom. On top, coming down to the final 16th, opening up a 2-length lead.
My love for you.
Wild About Star, shining big here in Berry 1.
Oh, why did I wrong?
Testing 1 2. The Star Guitar filly leads Champagne Diva close to home. It's testing 1 2.
Feel my love for you coming on strong.
You're watching America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports 2 and MSG Plus. Show brought to you in part by America's Best Racing as we bring you our post-parade for the Grade 1 Frizette and a win and you're in for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. Here's quality response for Bob Baffert, undefeated 2 for 2.
2 for 2, unchallenged. It's really just better than what she was facing out in California, but she's stretching out to a mile with a tough post.
Jeremiah Engelhardt sends out the very impressive Daphne Moon. Missed the break or got out slow in that debut. It didn't matter.
Yeah, they paid $525,000 for this filly, and you're right. The slow break did not deter her at all. She mowed down that field and has had time since.
Wicked Whisper, a little cold on the board. 2-1 morning line favorite is 7-2 for Steve Asmussen.
Well, I think that statistic that was quoted, 0 for 16, 2-year-old maiden breakers coming back in stakes. But this filly's got a world of talent, and she's got a pedigree that says she should get a mile.
Slam dunk. She's interesting. She's still a maiden. She ran second to Alondra, hit the board in the Alcibiades.
Yes, ran third and probably was way too far back. So Alondra does have some talent, but Slam Dunk still needs to break the maiden first, and again, 17-1.
Ice Princess, Danny Gargan, won by 12 lengths first out.
Beating New York bred maidens in an off-the-turfer was impressive there by Palace Malice. I think a very underrated first crop sire.
Miss Marissa, she owns a win at a mile here at Belmont, and the start prior to that, where she won by 5 lengths. She was second to British Idiom, who we just showed you, winning the Alcibiades at Keeneland.
We've shown Shanghai Bobby a lot on this program, and he's had enough. Was the one that ran a close second in the Breeders' Cup. And Greg Wolf made a good point. This horse has been a different horse with blinkers.
Frank's Rocket. Second beat a half length in the Adirondacks. Second beat a length and a quarter in the Grade 1 spin away.
Not quite sure she wants all of the mile, but she does get a good draw. Gets Johnny Velasquez, could sneak into the race the right way. She's going to have to prove she can get the distance.
That's your field for the Grade 1 Frizette. Meanwhile, Daphne Moon, Jeremiah Engelhardt, he had the magic touch with 2-year-old fillies at Saratoga. Trying to bring this one back to win in a 1-turn mile. Let's go to Maggie Wolfendale.
Here with trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt, who sends out Daphne Moon in here. And Maya, off the back of that 7 furlongs maiden win, I gotta ask, was this race always in the back of your mind?
Yeah, Al, actually, I think he said it in the winner's circle. He was like, oh, let's go to the Frizette. I'm like, well, all right. But, just from that race and running as well as she did, I thought giving her a good amount of time. She's a big filly, so thought that it would work out well. Hopefully, it was the right move.
I've been watching some of her works up at Saratoga where you've kept her. What have you seen from her in the mornings that indicate she's moved forward from that maiden score?
She's done exactly what we want her to do, whether it's sit outside horses and close into the work. She actually, I think 2 weeks ago, she worked against Ghost Giant, and they worked really well together, and he ran well today, so I'm kind of hoping that maybe is a good sign for her as well.
Maya, she, as I said, she has those big ears. You don't have the big ears, but that's okay. You're not running out there. But do you find, too, that sometimes fillies like that, they're just a different type of league?
Yeah, well, I heard you say it once, and then I kind of always kind of paid attention to it. And then with her, like she did, like she had that, just look about her when Travis and I bought her at the sale. And there was actually another American Pharaoh that I told Al at the last sale. I'm like, she's got Daphne ears, but that wasn't good enough. I couldn't talk him into it. So you do look for it. You kind of, there's always those certain things that you hear about that you want to go for, and that's always one with the fillies. I like the big ears too. So. I got big canals though, little ears but big canals.
So you can hear very well.
Hear very well, yes.
Well, that's probably better than being able to run.
I can't do that.
Well, Maya, best of luck. Thanks for talking to us here about Daphne Moon.
Thanks, Maggie.
All right, Daphne Moon, guys. She looks as though she can easily take the 7 to the mile, right?
With those ears, of course.
Yeah.
Frasier fans?
Oh yeah, definitely Frasier.
Named
long
after
time
the
ago.
character in the series Frasier.
Daphne.
Daphne
Yes.
Moon.
Okay.
Sort of his. It was like his living maid, right? I would think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who,
Right.
Yeah, the brother was in love with.
Yeah. What do you do with Daphne Moon? It's a risky proposition because when you look, the horse is actually the 4th choice in the pick threes, which I can't believe.
At this point, by the way, she got off completely slow
Yes.
and had to circle around this field.
And Jose Ortiz was aboard. Now Irad aboard today.
Yeah, but the fact is that she took dirt early in the race before she swung out. And she already has that experience, which bodes well for her, because if things heat up on the front end, she could sit in behind horses and come with a late run. And I like the fact that she's shown the ability to overcome adversity. That's something you don't know young horses can do until they do it.
We haven't talked much about the Bob Baffert runner, the one. Is this his... I don't know. He doesn't really have that 2-year-old maybe on.
Bast is his A-team.
Yeah, I guess
filly.
Bast.
Yeah.
And what's the other 3 rings?
Well, that's the colt.
That's the colt, yeah. So when it comes to the fillies, you have Bast. Now this horse is won by open lengths. Hasn't faced much 1 to 5 in the phone chatter in a 4-horse field, but Bob Baffert's just so potent, and this is the phone chatter. And listen, his horses usually jog when they run over at Los Alamitos.
And listen, visually impressive. You can't knock anything about it. I just think the water's a lot deeper here. You got post 1 breaking right on top of the chute. A lot of empty space for a young horse. And she's going to have to find a bit more in the tank, although obviously she won geared down.
She's been ultra impressive. It was a small field, let's be honest. It was a 4-horse field.
For a long time, a lot of people were like, Bob Baffert struggled with fillies. He's way better with colts on the dirt. And then Abel Tasman came along, and it's like, give the guy the right horse. He's good. Now, a turf horse, you want to maybe go somewhere else. But Bob will admit it. He goes, I'd rather, he even goes to the sales looking for dirt horses. When he goes to the turf, it's last resort for him. So it's tough to leave him out, isn't it?
Especially coming here where he just takes the money when he comes east. Yeah. Big race.
Yeah, listen, you definitely can't knock the way he does things and how successful he is. Boy, that's a lot of weight on a 2-year-old
Charlie
filly.
was okay, but this one, I don't know.
Yeah, that's a 5-year-old man. It's a 2-year-old filly. We put all the grandstand on her.
Poor Daphne Moon.
I tell you what, the 2 is my pick. I think the 6, Miss Marissa, is interesting. She's got a lot of foundation, and she seems like she's getting steadily better and better, and the distance certainly is.
She's proven at this mile on this racetrack, and it seems like with that equipment change, with the blinkers going on, she's just become a different filly.
Sometimes that's what they need. Just get some focus.
Grade 1 Frizette, 2-year-old fillies trying to punch their ticket to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile fillies. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York racing, Larry Colmus.
Last to come forward here will be Frank's Rocket. Coming up to the outside stall. And they're all in line. They're off in the Frizette. Daphne Moon breaks at the rear of the field. And it is Quality Response on the inside, flashing some early foot in company with Wicked Whisper, who goes up to grab the lead up the backstretch. Miss Marissa is out running in 3rd position. Frank's Rocket is 4th on the outside of Slam Dunk, and it's 4 lengths to Daphne Moon alongside of Ice Princess as they race up the backstretch. The leader is Wicked Whisper, a 22.91 quarter. She's out there a length and a half. Miss Marissa second on the outside. Quality Response has the rail. Frank's Rocket's outside of horses. 3 lengths off the lead and just ahead of Slam Dunk. Daphne Moon's got 7 lengths to make up at this stage. Ice Princess alongside of her. So they head to the half-mile pole with Wicked Whisper on top. Running through this first half mile in 46.49 seconds. She's on top a length and a half. With Miss Marissa running in second. Quality Responses on the inside of Frank's Rocket. And then it's a length farther back to Slam Dunk. They're followed by Ice Princess, and Daphne Moon is still near the back of the pack. 6 lengths off of front-running Wicked Whisper, who takes them to the top of the stretch in front. Miss Marissa edges up alongside. Frank's Rocket comes up there 3 wide. Then Slam Dunk. Quality Responses down on the inside. They're coming down to the 8th pole here, and it is still Wicked Whisper trying to take them every step of the way. Frank's Rocket is trying to run her down with a 16th to go. Wicked Whisper from Frank's Rocket, and it's Wicked Whisper, loud and clear in the Frisette. She won it by 3 over Frank's Rocket. Slam Dunk and Ice Princess 4th.
1 for 17 now. Steve Asmussen puts that streak to an end. Wicked Whisper, debut winner, moves on to win a grade 1 on the stretch out.
How many times have we seen this, Paul? Joel Rosario gets one on the lead, going, quick enough. I thought legitimate fractions, but they get so comfortable, and they always have something left. And when she was flicking her ears here coming to the top of the stretch, and he had that loose rein and allowing her to just keep on building her confidence, they don't get by him when he makes the lead like that.
And look, he's just sitting chilly. And like you said, I had mentioned this earlier, Mig, he's so known for his, dead last sweeping moves. But when he puts a horse on the front end, good luck trying to get by him, because he's going to have something left. He's a little bit like Julian Leperoux. And sorry, Julian, I just think Joel's a little bit better rider. But and there's nothing against Julian because he can flat out ride. But he's won 3 races today, gate to wire.
Yeah.
Let's
Take a
go
look at
back
the
to the
start
start and look at Daphne Moon. Did not get out great again.
Yeah,
Tough.
That really cost her. And
Can it get in their mind, Mig?
Yeah, you know what it is too. Jeremiah talked about how big she is. And sometimes big horses just have a hard time standing 100% properly in the gate because they're taking up so much of the room. They don't have as much room to kind of shift and adjust their feet and get balance. That, she did it the first time. She didn't stumble, but she broke a little bit awkwardly. Now she stumbled. You hope it's not going to be a problematic thing going forward.
And I'll tell you what, Mr. Baffert's horse could not even keep pace.
Yeah, how often do you see not even in the mix from that barn? But again, this is not his A team.
Exactly, but here's my issue is he's starting to reach for somebody for his A team when it comes to the fillies. Now, he might have some colts, he might have this and that, but I'm telling you right now, when it comes to the first Saturday in November, first Friday in November, he might have some empty bullets.
I don't think we're going to have to run any benefits for Mr. Baffert, though.
No, that's true. That's true. But all I'm saying is that he's going to be overbet in a lot of races, and a lot of his horses aren't running that great right now.
Good point. Very good point.
Bast may go.
And barely beat those
Schuylerville was all
winner.
out at 1-5, but still got the job done. Joel Rosario, 3 wins this afternoon. And maybe just quality response.
Wow, this horse was impressive.
Not loving the mile here, but Wicked Whisper loved it. And what do you think, ability to go beyond a mile for her?
The way she did it, because this falls under the heading, it's not how fast you're going, it's how you're going fast. She was clipping along nicely, but doing it very efficiently. She's got the size and certainly the pedigree, and we'd be remiss not to say Liam's Map is one of the hottest first crop sires as well.
Yeah, and the other part about this, Wolfie, everybody was wondering about, okay, can Frank's Rocket get the mile? I thought Johnny V did a great job. Now, did Wicked Whisper get an easy lead because the 7 didn't go? Yes, but the 7 ran a bang-up race, taken from off the pace. I think that's going to be his running style, Mig.
Yep, I agree.
Wicked Whisper, undefeated now with a win at 6 furlongs, a win at a 1-turn mile. 2-turn test is next on Breeders' Cup weekend. She punches her ticket to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. A look back, no one's coming. We'll be back.
This proven son of Giants Causeway has sired 4 millionaires, including Claiborne Farm stallion Lee. Recent top runners include Cutting Humor, winner of the Grade 3 Sunland Park Derby, plus 3-time graded stakes winner Sharp Samurai, and international star Shamal Nibras. This year, his 2-year-olds have brought prices up to $310,000. First Samurai, standing at Claiborne Farm.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. Use promo code TRYRTN for a 5-day free trial.
I think the bonus is really interesting. Mr. McInvale, as usual, is thinking outside the box, doing a wonderful job promoting his horse. Buyers will really appreciate having an opportunity like that to come back and run their horses at these top tracks and earn that bonus.
It's a wonderful incentive both for people in the market and people that own these horses. And I mean, what a great bonus it would be for anybody that wins. I think it's wonderful.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Back on America's Day at the Races, our show brought to you in part by Claiborne Farm. 100 years of doing the usual, unusually well. Saying so long in a moment here to our viewers on Fox Sports 2. MSG sticking around. Wicked Whisper on to the Breeders' Cup after this performance. Punched her ticket anyway for Steve Asmussen with Joel Rosario. Impressive here, his third win on the day.
Absolutely beautiful here. You can see Joel still hasn't asked her for her best. They get to the 8th pole, and he's still got that slack in his reins, and now he's going to tap her down the shoulder, and he's going to start pulling that slack out of his reins right in here. You see how he reaches up, kind of tightens up? That's more of a signal for a horse to go. When they're on a loose line, they tend to relax more. So he was basically nursing her along well inside the 8th pole before he finally asked her for her best. This is very impressive. She's very efficient. She moves extremely well.
She's got blazing speed. And Lacey was just easily up on the front end there. And congratulations, like you said, Liam's Map out of the Bernardini Marizayana. Great little pedigree here. This one's a half the point of honor. $500,000 they spent at auction. Joel. I wonder if Ricardo Santano gets back aboard. I would think he would for Steve Aspen. How about Steve Aspen just continues to roll? And there it is, the Empire mandatory payout. You had to get the first 2 winners. Other than that, it's been formful, but they're paying well.
One leg remains for those watching on Fox Sports 2. You can follow along at NYRABets.com to see how it plays out. Back on Fox on Thursday of next week. MSG sticking around. All right, so for those still with us, this is our nightcap that remains. 7 furlongs on the turf here coming up. New York bred maiden claiming race, $40,000 maiden claiming group. And this was, I think we all agreed coming in here, this was probably the most wide open race of the entire card today.
Well, it really was. I thought so, yeah.
I mean, how are you coming up with a winner in here? I mean, you'd have to go very deep in this leg.
Yeah, the 1A is out of here. So you have, I thought the 13 was a big draw in, and Daring Disguise. I could see Sid Fitch. I know a lot of baseball people know who that is. I could see a ton of different horses in here. And I also think a lot of the buzz is on the 4 here, Snowline, because Kelsey Danner has brought a couple horses in here that can run, turf horses too, and this is a first-time starter.
Bred by Newtown Anner Stud. Yeah. Newtown Anner Stud, about a mile through the woods from my house, about 2 miles on the road. Morris Regan, they breed nice horses.
You have the info on this horse. Let's go, Meg. I know you go hiking around there.
No info whatsoever.
We'll go through this entire field coming up, but yeah, there's a lot of love for that first-time starter in here, and you have a lot of horses. You've had a lot of opportunities.
True.
So maybe take a new face in here. Is a Kitten's Joy for a barn that has had success sending out.
Who won the last race yesterday? Don Juan Kitten.
Oh yeah,
and that was a first-time starter too.
Yeah, Kitten's Joy. Yeah.
You do have Zechariah dropping in class. Jonathan Thomas. You have the also eligible who gets in. For Linda Rice at 13 in here during Disguise. Let's take another look back, though, to the big one from yesterday, Santa Anita Sprint Championship out of the West Coast. And Chancelot, this is a horse who had provided one of the most electric performances we've seen the entire year with a 121 Beyer speed figure in the Amsterdam. Coming back after a narrow defeat in his next out effort, facing Omaha Beach. First race back since the Arkansas Derby. Would have been your favorite in the Kentucky Derby, but an entrapped epiglottis kept him out. Those two threw down. Here's Frank Miramati from Santa Anita yesterday.
They're in the gate, and they're off. Chancelot breaks smoothly, goes right to the front. One Flew South comes away in good order. Flagstaff has some early speed. Omaha Beach 3 off the leader. Then it's Horse Greedy and a gap of 3 to California Straight. Chancelot controls the pace, leads it by 2.5 lengths coming to the half-mile pole. Flagstaff is in second. Omaha Beach is down at the rail. They're followed by Horse Greedy, racing in fourth, about 5 lengths off Chancelot. One Flew South losing ground steadily, passed by California Street. Chancelot shows the way past the 3/8, still in hand by a length. He's got company with Flagstaff on the outside, and down at the rail, Omaha Beach is very close. Omaha Beach firing a big shot in his comeback as the field turns for home. Chancelot, Omaha Beach is coming with good-looking strides down at the rail, and Flagstaff on the outside. Chancelot fully extended, trying to fend off the classy Omaha Beach. Chancelot digging in. Omaha Beach at the rail is coming to him. Chancelot, Omaha Beach, Omaha Beach, Omaha Beach. What a training job by Richard Mandela as he wins the Santa Anita Sprint Championship. Chancelot loses a heartbreaker, and Flagstaff was third.
What an incredible training job is right from the Hall of Famer Richard Mandela off a 5-month layoff. Horse has now won at 6 furlongs to mile and an 1/8 in his career.
Pretty incredible. I mean, he's got speed. He doles it out the way the rider wants him to. The fact that he could lay up so close without Mike hustling him off his feet. And I thought he kind of got a little bit of easy pass there getting through on the inside. I thought, you know, Jaramillo looked to his inside twice and never shut the door. Shut the door, throw some dirt in his face. Maybe it makes him hesitate a little bit, and when you only get beat ahead, I don't know. That maybe I'm splitting hairs.
Let me ask
Great
you a quick
horse
question,
race.
because he gave him so much of a big hole that it was almost intentional, right? Because Mike after the race said, "Hey, I was waiting for him to switch leads, go down to the rail, then I could have swung outside, but he swung so far to the middle of the racetrack, I basically had no choice." So and he stuck on the inside. So to me, that makes it seem like Navarro might have said, "You know what? Let him come to the inside of you, because then Chancelot will get more courageous, and this horse is going to be short."
I guess it must be a generation. It must be a generational thing, because in the 80s into the 90s, you weren't letting a guy through there. You were going to slam the gate.
You see what Mike Smith did to Abel Tasman did to Elate?
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the difference you're getting, and like that's why when I
make it tough.
Yeah, and that's why I hear things like when you take guys off Mike Smith, like off your horses. You had too much to drink the night before. That's my thing.
Well, you know what? I'd love to see that isolated shot again, and I'd love to make a point if we can, guys. I know there's a certain way when you're going to the whip with a horse that you're supposed to do it in rhythm, in stride. When a horse's front feet are on the ground, your arms are outstretched. You're never supposed to hit a horse with the whip then, because it makes them pick their feet up faster. When they curl back up and you don't have that extension, that's when you're supposed to be hitting a horse, because they get up underneath you. Their hind legs are on the ground. They propel themselves forward. Watch the out of sync on the 3. Watch how many times he hits with his front legs on the ground. There. Coming up one more, he's going to hit him when his front legs are on the ground. Now, there he hit him right, actually. Then the second time he didn't. There's actually an art to it. There's a rhythm, and there's a purpose in how you do it.
I've never heard this. Keep on going, man. This is great.
Who taught this to you?
This was something that coming around.
So you want to hit the horse when he's actually off all of his feet?
When his hind legs are on the ground. When he curls up, that means his hind legs are on the ground. You hit him then, he propels himself forward. If your arms are outstretched, that means one of his front legs are on the ground. If you're hitting them then and you're stretched out. So think about jockey's position. Jockey hand rides. He's pushing this way. If you're this way and you're hitting, that's off stride, because you're extended this way, their front legs on the ground. If they fold back up, now you're like this, that's when you're supposed to be hitting, because then they propel themselves forward.
That makes sense.
That's why when they say, like, rules, you're not supposed to hit a horse 3 times consecutively. You should never do it anyway, because you're hitting them off stride at least one of the 3 times and maybe twice. There is a lot more to it than people think. Oh, the guys just, jump up and down and whip. You're supposed to be in sync, simpatico, in rhythm with your horse.
All right, so we saw that was not done properly down in the stretch. Also, he let the Mike Smith come up the inside. Probably something a lot of other riders would not let happen in that race. But look, both these two horses ran brilliant races, irrespective of all that.
They ran fantastic. It was a great horse race. As a fan of the game, I love what I saw. Jaramillo's a very good rider. Mike Smith's a Hall of Fame rider. Richard Mandela, the job he did to get this horse to fire off the bench the way he did. I mean, we've got to admire and appreciate and respect that.
Mig, put that into terms, actually.
Well,
I mean, this horse was going to be your Derby favorite, okay?
Yep.
And now that we know, okay, I'm not taking anything from Maximum Security, God knows what it could have been. And now he puts the horse, has obviously throat issues, puts him on the sidelines for 175 days, and decides to come back in a 6-furlong race against a horse that put up 121 Beyer at one point. I had told you guys for 7 days straight, Richard Mandela is one of the most, if the horse has a pimple, he will not run, that this horse was going to be ready to run, and he was. How hard is that as a conditioner?
Well,
especially going 6 furlongs.
Incredibly hard, but you saw this work pattern. He had a couple of those, like, more stamina-building works, like 7/8, slow the first half, finish the last 3/8. And then the corker for me was that sharp half-mile right on top of the race. That kind of lit him up. And, I mean, it's brilliant. And that's why the man was able to win 4 Breeders' Cups in one day, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
No, he even said, Richard Mandela, look, I didn't have a lot of time to turn this horse into a sprinter of this kind of quality. It wasn't like we practiced this a whole lot. Off a 5-month layoff, goes 108-3 and beats a horse who gave us one of the most brilliant performances in any type of race all year long. Chancelot had done that in the Amsterdam. We'll be back.
Run Happy is simply super. He polishes off an outstanding campaign with a dominant victory in the Malibu.
No medication, no problem. Run Happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one-of-a-kind, high-speed, high-stakes action. And Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
America's Day at the Races returns to you here on MSG. Plus, as we have a nightcap to get through here at beautiful Belmont Park, we're on the turf going the 7 furlongs for this New York bred maiden 40, and we see the favorite towards the outside. Off a trainer change to Jonathan Thomas is number 11, Zechariah, and this horse has just been crying out for a drop in class. And while physically he looks great, as he always has, he is more sharp here in the paddock than what I've seen from him in the past, and that's always a good sign when you're trying to go a little shorter than you have been. Also, Jonathan puts the blinkers on, a short cut for a runner that does return wearing the fronts though, but then again, I'm always on the fence about that because of that drop in class. A lot of times it's just done as a rule for a trainer when you have one in a claiming race. So Zechariah is your favorite, and from my vantage point, he deserves to be. As we'll also take a look at a horse who's coming in off of a layoff and trying the turf for the first time. Number 3 is Disciplinarian for Dave Donk, and he's the son of Honorable Dylan. And last year it was Honorable Dylan's, oh God, now I'm losing track of time, but last year, the year before, was Honorable Dylan's first crop of 2-year-olds, and we saw some of them like the turf. So I'm very intrigued by this move, and while there isn't that much on the bottom side immediate pedigree, the second dam was actually a multiple stakes winner on the turf, and this guy looks like he should like the turf. Slacker pasterns, flatter hoof to him. He could look maybe a touch fitter in regards to the layoff, but we're going 7/8 here. I think that distance suits him well, and for a guy and a trainer I have a lot of respect for with his turf runners in Dave Donk. Now, Kelsey Danner, we saw her have some success up at Saratoga with a first-time starter by the name of Call Me Harry. So she can be very dangerous with some of her debut runners that she ships in here from Monmouth Park, and that's number 4, Snow Lion, a New York bred. And he's a kitten's joy. There isn't much to talk about on the bottom side of the pedigree, but the 7/8 looks to be a good distance for him to begin at. He's sharp in here as he is wearing blinkers first time out. Looks like a turf horse. Maybe he could be a little bit more fit and defined, but then again, kitten's joys, they can kind of be that way. They can be that stockier type. And as I throw it back to Greg, Paul, and Mig on the set, Mig, I have a question for you. Not to get too far off topic here, but I loved your point about hitting a horse when they're extending and pushing off behind. And as we watch some of those European races today from Longchamp, you know, a lot of times Americans want to criticize European riders because they're bouncing off horses' backs, but that's actually their theory too, is to get down and push off their back when horses are pushing off from behind. Am I right?
Well, absolutely. That's when you're supposed to be asking a horse for their best, when they're trying to push off the ground. Horses don't drag themselves. They propel themselves. And I think that's what you're trying to play on when you're hand riding, when you're going to the whip, when you're trying to get them to get as much extension as you possibly can.
So that's when they're kind of cocked and loaded. That's when you want to ask for more.
Absolutely. And listen, when a horse is tired and they have nothing more to give, there's nothing you really can do about it.
All the bag of tricks by that time, yeah.
Right. But really, if you keep a horse in a proper rhythm, you're always going to get more out of them.
8 minutes to post in our finale coming up.
I guess it's the old cliche, just don't get in the horse's way, right?
Well, don't get in his way, but also, you know, there are times you want to be a passenger, and then there's times you need to be the pilot. Yeah. And you know, your best riders are able to discern which scenario calls for which you know, way to go.
Yeah. How much did you work on that as you were coming up?
Well, you know, as a kid, you learn pretty quickly that you can't do too much. You can't run for the horse. You know, you always think you can make one run faster than they're capable of. You can't.
You can't, yeah.
But the only thing is you can maximize that horse's ability.
9-2 is our favorite in this finale. It is a wide open betting race. There's Sid Finch, Eric Cancel. You know, we've been noticing quite a bit. He has been riding so much better.
Yeah.
Of late.
A little unlucky, second and thirds. But yeah, he rode a really good race up the rail and just missed the other day in the last race. He's been riding great, you're right. And I like this horse to George Weaver's barn, whose barn's been clicking. And last time out, just gave the horse a run over the racetrack. So I think a good shot here at a big price.
Here's the one. Breaking boundary. Blinkers coming off and has only tried the turf once. Vanned off and bled that day.
Yeah, so he had excuses, and obviously a lot went wrong that day. Loses the blinkers. Going to have to really find a lot more to make me suggest this horse is a viable candidate.
War Cans at 21-1, Bruce Levine.
3 back on the dirt, good race, but the turf race just not good enough to beat these. That's why you're getting 21-1.
Disciplinarian first on the turf for trainer David Donkey as Irad Ortiz Jr.
Dave Donk seems to excel with turf runners. This horse tries turf for the first time. His horses usually need a race or two to find their best.
This one has taken a lot of support here. First time starter by Kitten's Joy for Kelsey Danner, Snow Lion.
Yeah, this one, we saw Kitten's Joy yesterday. Don Juan, Kitten win the last. Will we see another one? And you're right, Kelsey Danner's brought a couple in here that have been live.
This one ran a race that, a repeat of that, probably wins here, but 0 for 15.
Big Wonder, Pablo Fragoso will be aggressive. This is probably your pacemaker. We saw him win on a horse paid well over $100 a few weeks ago.
Straight out of Congton, Intriguing. Moving to the Jimmy Toner barn off since September 2018.
Yeah, great name here. Congaree out of the Runton Tin Mare, straight out of Congton. Hasn't done much running, but you're right. The switch to James Toner's got to help.
7+7 Intriguing at 11-1 as well. New gelding.
First time gelding, that's the most important equipment change a horse could ever have. His one turf race that left a lot to be desired, but Gary Gold sees reason to try it again.
Yeah, made the lead that day and then completely backed up. Alfalfa, Linda Rice, first time out at this condition, missed by a neck.
Not getting better at all, although Alfalfa wasn't my favorite little rascal. Spanky by far.
It's the son of Alpha. We're going to jump to the 11 in here. Zechariah big drop in class moving to the Jonathan Thomas barn, but Graham Motion, pretty sharp trainer you're trying to move up off of.
Yeah, sharp trainer to move up, but significant drop in class. Gets blinkers, gets Johnny Velasquez, and could not have looked better from what I saw on TV.
Back to the 9 here, first timer. Snappy landing by Courageous Cat.
A little bit green with the pony, first timer from Gary Siaka. Trainers' horses usually improve with some racing.
Sid Finch, this horse has some good races to go back to. This horse was third to Therapist in a state-bred maiden special.
Yeah, you're right. They took the blinkers off. Front wraps were on last time. They're on again today, so don't worry about that. The son of Big Brown, maybe a long shot. Look, it's 16-1.
And in from the also eligible-ish Junior Alvarado aboard Daring Disguise.
Horse that's had a lot of chances, but he's been close, and his best races put him squarely in the picture.
4 minutes away from our nightcap coming up. It is a wide open finale and a great race to tackle with exotics. We'll have it for you live when we come back here on America's Day at the Races as we bring you the finale here on this Sunday afternoon card from Belmont. We'll be back.
Warfront. This son of Danzig ranks among the world's elite sires. With Grade 1 winners on dirt and turf and star performers both at home and abroad, Warfront's success as an international super sire is unmatched. Recent Grade 1 winners include Omaha Beach and Preakness Stakes hero War of Will. In the sales ring, his $2.4 million sale topper at Keeneland September was the highest price yearling sold in North America last year. Warfront, standing at Claiborne Farm.
It's America's original sport, and no one covers it better than americasbestracing.net. From the sport to the lifestyle, the best races, horses, and destination venues, cocktails, gambling, fashion, and more. americasbestracing.net is a sport for you. Live it, love it, bet it.
Run happy, standing at Claiborne Farm.
No sport in the world brings the wins home like racing. It's one of a kind, high speed, high stakes action. And Naira Bets takes you there. Place your bets and watch the races live from anywhere. With Naira Bets, make easy, secure deposits and promotions every day to earn reward points or cash. Download the Naira Bets app or visit NairaBets.com. Sign up now for a $200 new member bonus with promo code LIVE at NairaBets.com.
2 minutes to go here to the Belmont Park finale as you are back watching America's Day at the Races, as we will check in with the horse who just made a great impression out on the racetrack. That's number 12, Sid Finch. Yeah, he's had his chances, the 4-year-old trainer George Weaver, but if you just dissect his form and judge him only on his 4 turf starts, his numbers do make him playable here. He has run just as fast as Zechariah in many of them, and 2 to 7 furlongs I think is an ideal distance. He really had a nice spring, an extension to his step and his stride there for Eric Consell. So I think second off the return to the Weaver barn, this horse could be very effective. Greg?
Yeah, I mean, we all kind of like him up here as well. You look at those early turf starts, this horse had talent when he was first running. Now he's back with George Weaver, who used to have him.
Yeah, that's key, right? Ralph D'Alessandro had him. They shipped him around. The Finger Lakes, Presque Isle, get some confidence. He ran awful races, Mig, but he's obviously a better turf horse.
Absolutely a better turf horse. But the real question is, who was Sid Finch?
Sid Finch was a fictional character that supposedly threw like 188 miles an hour, and he was supposed to get signed by so many major league teams. It ended up being somewhat of a hoax.
I have confidence you could hit off him.
Yeah, he was just a fictional character. That was it. So if you look, he's a fictional baseball player, the subject of the notorious April Fool's Days hoax article of April 1st, 1985. There was an article coming out that he was the best pitcher of all time, and it was an April Fool's
That's
joke.
great. That's awesome.
4-1 favorite, Zechariah. That's the 11. Jonathan Thomas, class dropper, taking over training duties from Graham Motion here. Blinkers going on with the drop in class. There's the 4, the first timer, who is steadily taking support here.
Looks good too, huh?
Yeah.
Does look good. I kind of agreed with Maggie's assessment watching him in the Paddock shot that he just looked a little bit heavy, but I thought that earlier about a Chad Brown horse that won, so what do I know?
Well, they could still carry a little extra, right? Or and get the job done.
Well, and also to the individual, some people just can carry more weight and doesn't hurt them,
at you, Paul.
their athletic prowess. No, I was actually kind of giving him the eye like at you.
Oh, boy. Okay.
I've been working on my figure, Mig. Come on, man.
Nightcap coming up. Let's send it upstairs to the voice of New York Racing for the call, Larry Colmus.
Daring Disguise is the last to load here. Stepping forward to the outside stall and going in. They're all in line. They're off. Zechariah's out the best. Snappy Landing came out with some early foot too, and rushing through on the inside is Big Wonder to be a part of the early issue, and Big Wonder now goes up to challenge for the lead. Then straight out of Conklin, Disciplinarian. Snow Lion in between horses is next. Then Alfalfa, followed by Snappy Landing and Daring Disguise on the outside. Lorcan is after that, and then it's 7+7 and Sid Finch, and a long way last is Breaking Boundary. 22.73 was that opening quarter mile, and racing for the far turn. It is Big Wonder in front. The leader by a length, with Zechariah running in second and edging up now to a half-length second position. A length and a half further back to straight out of Congdon, running in third on the inside as they make their way around the far turn. It's Alfalfa, Daring Disguise, Disciplinarian on the inside. Behind them is Snow Lion, and then comes Lorcan. 45.29 the half for Big Wonder, who makes his way to the top of the stretch, opening up a bit of daylight here on Zechariah. It's a 2-length lead as they turn for home. Then Alfalfa to the outside, third and trying to close the gap. Straight out of Congton has dropped back. Disciplinarian on the outside. Furlong to run, and it is still Big Wonder trying to hold on to this lead. Alfalfa's closing with Lorcan on the outside. Disciplinarian is coming on in the middle. They're coming down to the wire, and it's going to be Big Wonder. Big Wonder held off Disciplinarian, and then it was Alfalfa and a photo for fourth.
Whoo! Big Wonder hangs on for the win, 16th time out. Paulo Fregoso.
How about Pablo Fregoso? 64-1 shot. He almost got this horse home at 18-1, and a lot of people didn't believe him that he could take this field gate to wire. Kudos to Napal Shatterpaul. I know he likes to run his horses. He likes to wheel them back. He's 0 for 11, wheeling horses back 1 to 7 days. So we've seen a couple overs, him and Asmussen, and this one got the job done.
That shows once again, speed is always dangerous. Pablo Fregoso not bashful about using a horse's speed. And what's wrong with making other horses run where you've already been?
I agree, 100%.
Big Wonder at 4-1. Had plenty of opportunities in the spot. Just missed last time out at this. Well, this is a drop down. That was against Open Maiden 40 in. Back it in against State Bred. Same distance, gets the job done at 4-1. And what a big run from Disciplinarian for David Donk. Getting on the turf for the very first time made this a little interesting late.
Yeah, Disciplinarian really finished well. And, Dave Donk just seems like his horses find another gear when they finally get to the turf.
Yeah, they did. The 3 was really rolling late there. Irad Ortiz Jr., and I would give that horse a look the second time. Sometimes when horses, I say this all the time, when they go from turf to dirt and they run big, be careful. But when they run big on the turf, they usually like it.
Yeah.
We had some very big races today. We saw a couple of horses may wind up going to your Breeders' Cup as favorites in the race. Who impressed you most from who we saw today?
Well, I mean, obviously, Sister Charlie needs no introduction, right? But I thought the filly here for Steve Asmussen, Wicked Whisper, I just love the efficiency of her stride and the way she did things.
I think I'm with Mig. I really am. I just think that the way she handled it, she did it with ease. She got in front of that group with ease. I know Gozilla did not go with her, but she is a fast filly.
Well, let's go to Keeneland, Spinster, and a late Alabama winner, Dunbar Road. It would wind up being neither of these two.
Wow. You can see Dunbar Road's on the rail, and at one point was she stopped at all? She really wasn't. She sort of got a really great rail trip, and Joe Bravo decided, you know what? I'm going to go wide. Elate's gotten the best of Blue Prize a ton of times, and I'm wondering if I wonder if Midnight Bisou has just taken the spirit out of Elate.
This is kind of interesting. Blue Prize has been so good, particularly in Kentucky. Look at her record at Keeneland, her record at Churchill. She's a mare that when she hits the front, she will pull up. She's got some tricks to her. She looks around. Elate had absolutely no excuse, though, no?
No.
She had her chance, made her run.
6-year-old mare, by the way, Blue Prize, who we saw win in restricted company at Saratoga, the Summer Colony, just got up to win to beat Vexatious. Wow. And she's still going strong here. 9th win of her career, 22 tries.
Got her great
nice win.
Right?
Ignacio Correas, Maribel Stable, and Joe Bravo. Good for him.
Yeah, and now what do we do with Elate? I think going against the boys in the Breeders' Cup Classic is probably out of the question now.
You'd have to think so off that performance. By the way, back here at Belmont, just went official. But I know there's someone else who's not on the set right now, but he didn't love Midnight Bisou's last start. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Break out the Brinks truck.
4-wheel drive. Wesley Ward punched a ticket to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint. Sister Charlie just keeps rolling off Grade 1 victories. 6th in a row, 7th in the U.S. That was a win in the Flower Bowl. She'll try to defend her championship of the Breeders' Cup, and Wicked Whisper punches her ticket as well to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. We'll see you Thursday.